Money here with Mike Marriage and Media, and let's get it going. So, in all seriousness, today we're looking at the channel is called Mosaic, and this is the host is actually the woman. Her name is TJ, and she has her husband with her here. Now, usually she doesn't have. I don't see her husband on her channel that much. That's why when I stumbled across this clip, I was like, oh, married couple on YouTube, let's check it out. Why? Because again, we need to see more married couples on YouTube. We need to start normalizing this more, that there are working relationships out here and it's not all doom and gloom. Because remember, nuclear family is the key to building a community. A lot of the problems in our community can be resolved if we start to produce more nuclear families. So we're not going to keep, I'm not going to keep babbling on here, right? We need to go ahead and see what they got here. The guest that they have on there is Jedi Mike. Now Jedi Mike is, I would call him, I would designate him as a young guy, meaning that he's probably in his early 20s, literally probably about half my age. So this is one of the things that I think is the key to having successful relationships is that you have older people in the community who you can go to for advice, because obviously that's probably what we're going to see here. So we'll figure out what they're talking about and let's get it going.
We always keep saying that, there's always wolf in sheep's clothing, and there's a lot of these content creators, like the profit off of it just for, knowing the things they're saying. They're not doing that in their own household.
Oh boy, I could do a whole episode on that, especially when it comes to money. Again, be careful of people who tell you to borrow a bunch of money in order to make a whole lot of money. Can't get started on that. Net worth's important, but relationship advice too. I mean, there's a lot of bad stuff, especially when you start talking about these YouTube talking points. A lot of this stuff is the relationship killer because it only applies to very specific scenarios, but a lot of these YouTube channels will have you believe that no, it applies to everything. Case in point, that's why I don't talk about high value men. The majority of the things that go with high value men don't apply to the general population. So how is that going to be helping people?
And I made sure, with my woman, that especially when we're seeing this YouTube space, is that we try to keep enforcing boundaries of terms listen, some of this is hypocrisy. You have to identify, and that's what you have to increase, not letting these ideologies kind of cloud your judgment. And because when talk about submission, I never asked my woman for submission. I put in the comments that I told her that you submit the Christ within me, and I'm not submitting my full authority to Christ and I have nothing to stand on, i.e. the foundation, right? Because the thing about building a home, the house that's built on sand, it will never stand, right? And what happened is that when we have these type of ideologies for the sake of ego, sake of putting a facade up there, just for the sake of people thinking, look, he's alpha, he's he look at him, oh my God, right? But then
I'm so sick of this alpha beta stuff. Man, look, I'm gonna settle this once and for all. I don't subscribe to that. Main reason is because unlike all these channels out here that tell you to be the alpha male, look, the reality is you can't be alpha all the time. That's impossible. Why? Because everyone is looking for there's always going to be somebody better than you out there. So let's talk about it, because most of these channels out here that subscribe to this whole alpha male thing, they will agree that you need some kind of mentor in your life. Okay, well, if that's the case, then when you're around your mentor, because usually a mentor will have in a mentee relationship, usually the person who's the mentor will be mentoring more than one person, right? So if you're with your mentor and he has somebody else that he's giving knowledge to, well, now it's two of y'all that are giving knowledge by this one person, right? Okay, so who's the alpha in that situation? But I'm alpha all the time. How? That literally makes no sense. How could you be alpha and be the student? The reality is that if you want to call yourself an alpha male, then do it for this reason. You're the alpha in your home, and your wife is there to assist you. To me, that's the only way it makes sense. But even then, if that's just the case, why do we need to use the terms alpha and beta? Let's just call it husband and wife. Yeah. To me, it's
What's
dumb.
happening is that the house is because the foundation is sand, it's going to crumble eventually, right? When the storm comes through, and that's why most marriages and relationships don't last long. Because with like the fairy tale of saying that we don't endure through storms and hardships and stuff, doesn't make it easy. Like everybody want weddings, we don't want marriages, right? But even
Hmm.
then, our marriage should be a ministry, metaphor, and and the reason why I said my woman, why I chose her because she's a walking ministry. Every time I know how much she advocates for the Lord and Holy Spirit and everything like that, and then again, what her influence adds on me in terms of in moments where, as a man, we just might deal with this life in terms of what the worldly, wisdom we might get from people. But I also believe that, such wisdom can be earthly, unspiritual, or demonic, right? So you have to understand that there's people that might want to say and give you type of advice or counsel, but obviously if the foundation is not Christ, in my personal opinion, is not going to stand for me.
Let me look real quick. This young man just turned 24.
Mhm.
This
Yeah.
young man just turned 24. And he is so insightful. Is it the young lady that I met the other night?
Listen, I can't
Okay,
plead
never
the,
mind.
plead the fifth.
Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4,
Right.
5th. But
Um,
whatever. I like I said, keep it offline, keep your auntie, But like I said, you have a really good point. Seek marital counseling, premarital counseling, because
It's
like
good
I said, we
advice.
were in our 50s. This is my second marriage. And I didn't do premarital counseling first. But I still remember what our counselor said to me, what a man needs. I remember it in the order: respect, loyalty, intimacy.
let's see. Right.
Have I forgotten
100%. And she's gonna ask her husband to confirm it too. I like that.
any of that, babe?
Say it again.
Have I forgotten any of that?
No, ma'am.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would,
Um,
and I wouldn't
Wait a
say
minute.
this.
Go ahead, babe. Go
No,
ahead.
sorry. You got to say, Mr. Randolph?
no, go ahead. Go ahead. I was just going to say that loyalty, uh, I think for men is at the top. Uh, you know, it's A1 at the top of the list. But go ahead, man.
Yeah. I will say, Auntie, I'll just say that your discernment and everything like that is not broken. I'll just say that in terms of your last question. I'm like, yeah.
Got you.
But in terms of that, I am like engagement is literally right around the corner. Right now, I'm about to graduate in like in a month and a half and stuff, and I just actually got a full time position job now, and I'm starting before I graduate. And like out of college though, like what same terms of what I'm making,
That's
and that's
what's up,
nothing but
man.
God. Because beginning before a relationship, I had nothing.
Okay, this young brother's getting his life together, man. I got a lot of respect for that. Said he's graduating college, he just landed the job, and he's right around the corner from proposing. It's probably why he don't want to talk about who this lady is. I can respect that. Man, we need more brothers like him who's starting to get their life together. We need to highlight that because again, the stereotype is that, especially his generation, they're all just lazy, and that's not the case. It's not the case. Now, I will say that the people in his generation tend to be either at one extreme or the other. Either they're going to be, they're very ambitious and they want to get their life together, and you can see them working on it constantly, or they just living in the basement smoking weed all day. So I think we need to highlight the first one more. We need more gentlemen like him who are getting a young man getting himself together, who's actively trying to pursue marriage, trying to build a family.
I had nothing. I was like in between jobs. He was making more money than me and all this stuff, which there's another disposal about myth and stuff. Again, just like in 2 or 3 months' time, because again, I just know where I want for myself and our relationship and stuff like that. It just, again, God just,
Yeah, he makes an excellent point. Is that if you listen to all these YouTube talking points, particularly the gender war, they'll tell you that you can't, that there's no way that you should ever let your woman make more money than you. It won't work. You can't do it. And I call BS. Because again, well, what do you mean by that? Well, that's not true. All women are hypergamous. Yeah, they are, But hypergamy is not just about money. Women tend to date up. Money is not the only measuring stick. Is it important? Absolutely. But it's not the only thing, and it can be overcome. What are you talking about? Because nah, I got to go out and make $1 million a year. They only want the top 10% of earners. That's when you got a camera in their face. But the majority of women who are telling you, who are saying that stuff on there, they don't know those guys and they ain't never met them before. So what? They don't just they're all celibate? I don't think so. Come on, that's just ridiculous. So what we have here is that when you get into reality, when you meet these women in real life, chances are most women are willing to work with a man as long as he has a plan of what he wants to do with his life. Now, does that mean that you got to have a plan so you can go make $100,000 a year? No, it doesn't. Yeah, and women will never admit to that on camera, but it doesn't, because again, most guys don't do that. Most guys don't have the skill set, and let alone a platform to go and make that kind of money. So I told you before we talked about average income per state. Do yourself a favor, go look up the average income in your state. I think you're going to be surprised about what it is. Most people out here are average. So how do you win as an average guy? Well, besides your money, there are other things you can do, like building your character. How is it that we never talk about that? We need to start having some conversations about that, seriously, because that is the biggest way that you can overcome I'm just an average income earner. What can I do? Because we're not swallowing the black pill over here. We're not just giving up. Just because I'm not rich doesn't mean anything. Go be rich with character. Go build that. It's a lot of other stuff too. But character is the one thing that will. That character is the one thing that's universal with the vast majority of women. They want to do it with character. Men of character rarely cheat. Don't have a reason to. All right. But look, let's keep going because I don't want to get off topic here. But this is great conversation though, for sure.
Was able to bless me in terms of this job I'm going to have starting out of college. Again, now we're planning on having combined incomes and everything once we're married. But again, I just believe in terms of obedience and everything. That just, again, that leads to a lot of blessings that we know we already have given, that we know it's going to be given to us. For example, everyone's saying, I'm just praying.
You know what? Let's go back because whoever, I think it was a chat that was posted. Yeah, let's be honest. Everyone stops at sex. No one speaks of Christianity and children. Nobody speaks of children, especially on YouTube. And see, this is the thing I don't understand. Because if you don't want to get married, okay, that's your choice. Don't do that, right? But also stop trying to hang out with all the good women. Because if there are good women out there, most likely they want to be married. If you know that's not you, then stay away from them. Save them for the guys who actually want to get married, who actually want to try their hand at marriage. But the children aspect is important because I find it interesting that we as men will sit here and complain about all these women, their 304s and all their negative aspects, right? Most of these things happen traumatically because break down in nuclear families. So, don't talk to me about you don't want to get married because there ain't no good wives out here. You want to know why there's no good wives? It's because they know men to train because there are not enough men out here who are willing to get married to show work as a model for the children in the home. It's chicken and egg. At some point, men and women are going to have to bite the bullet to make it better for the next generation. Work out what you can, get the best option, and then you two go and build a life, build a family so that we can start building communities. Because we just keep going back and forth around in circles. Look, guys, well, let's go ahead and finish up here.
Given that we know it's going to be given to us. For example, everyone's saying, I'm just praying for my man, I'm praying for my woman, all this stuff, right? Okay, the prayer's been answered. It's I think people are not saying make a mistake of constantly praying for the same thing. God knows your hearts and desires. But the thing is, He also knows when you're not prepared to or equipped to handle it. So again, sometimes He might test you, might give it to you prematurely, and say, "Listen, now you know
that was good.
What you asked for.
That was good.
Now are you, in terms of the man or the woman, that actually now able to cultivate the blessing that I had in store for you, or now you gotta wait a little bit longer and be disciplined and follow my word. Again, it's just like I keep saying like these violent delights can have violent ends. Like
Well, let me go ahead and offer you this too.
Mhm.
And it's good. And here's where the loyalty comes in, baby. Correct me if I'm wrong. You talked about, when y'all got together, and again, a couple of things. You were doing the right thing by protecting her. Because even though I'm in these YouTube streets, Mr. Randolph is very adamant about protecting me. If he sees stuff getting too, because he knows me, he knows I care. If he sees me getting too stressed or whatever, he asks me, he said, now this is still a hobby, right? Or he'll ask me, he says, he'll grow me. Like basically, okay, if I have to step in, it's a shutter downer. So, but that's protecting me even from myself.
As he should. Yeah, as he should. Great
But
representation.
let's go back to the loyalty thing. Yes, you said when you all started dating, she was making more than you and blah, blah, blah. But the loyalty is, say, for instance, because there may be a time when you all are together and say, for instance, something happens unexpectedly, your company shuts down, we go through another pandemic, it may obliterate your job, but she still has hers. The loyalty comes in when she's like, babe, we're going to work through this together. I got it until you get another thing. That's where the loyalty comes to continue to lift you up, to continue to support you.
Facts. Now, here's the thing, because a lot of YouTube relationship channels talk about that, and the most, believe it or not, the best example of that actually comes from Fresh and Fit. I know, right? But like I said, it's like your salad bar. Take what you want, leave the rest. Myron Gaines talked about this. He's like, yeah, you gotta, you're on the shot. When your woman starts making more than you, the shot clock is on. But the part that he missed was that it's on for you to start creating more value. You're going to have to replace the value that you brought in with your income, with your security. Now, getting another job is the easiest thing to do, right? The hardest thing to do in reality is replace that value with something else, because you got to have money as a tool, and you definitely need it. So, but I mean, you may come across a situation where you're with a woman who, let's say that, you were making, let's say she was making 30 and you were making, 39, right? And you lost your job and you're out looking for something else, and you stumble across something, you get the same job as a different company, but they're going to pay you less. Now you're making as much as she is. You got that now, and then let's say 3 months later, she gets a promotion to where she's making 50. Okay, so now you have to take up the role. You got to figure out how you're going to add to your value, because she just increased hers from a relationship, from in the confines of the relationship. You also are going to have to step up in other ways. And most likely it's my suggestion would be, and I know this goes against like what all these YouTube channels are telling you, all this relationship advice, you have to step it up inside the home. She just got promoted to management, probably means she's gonna be working more hours. If y'all got kids, it's your duty to step up and you're gonna be watching the kids a lot more. You're gonna be cooking more meals. You're gonna be taking them to school and or picking them up from daycare or whatever. Because the reality is that there has to be some balance. I mean, yeah, you can go get another job, but it's only so many resources out here. At a certain point, it's like that. Like you have to start taking care of other stuff too, because you can do the typical man answer is, okay, well, I'm just about to grind it out and I'm gonna go get something. Meanwhile, your home falls apart because nobody's taking care of home. One of you has to be the breadwinner. I don't care if it's male or female at this point. Why? Because our marriage rates are too low. We have the lowest marriage rates in the country, and you need nuclear families to propagate a community. So we can't be picky. We got to figure out how to make it work however we can. But look, I'm gonna leave this one here. Mosaic, Jedi Mike, this was a high level conversation for sure. We need more couples like Mr. and Mrs. Randolph, because, look, again, more representation of married people. But guys, go check out the channel. Remember, like and subscribe here. And I'm gonna say goes to the next time. Peace. Thanks for making it to the end of this video. But do me another favor, like and subscribe, but also check out these here. Either subscribe or watch videos, one or the other. I don't know which side, but hey, all right. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we are looking at a short from We Need to Talk. It's White Men Treat Me Better. Now, this obviously this woman, this is her perspective, but I want to address the bigger issue that we're having here. Again, the high level conversation is not the fact that the white man treats me better. You know, that's irrelevant to this point. But my point is that how are we gauging how men treat us? You want to know what a man thinks about you? Is he put a ring on your finger? Uh-oh. Because, you know, we can say all these things about different men around here, or, you know, the real conversation here is that because there are a lot of, women have a lot of preferences, right? Okay, so the guys that you're looking for, the guys that you want, are they willing to marry you? Let's go ahead and play the video, and then we're gonna look at some data points. So let's go.
I haven't had that issue with Caucasian men. Sex was never brought up. They just wanted to just love on me. And I mean, to the point where like, I dated this one guy and he would pick my food up from the table and carry it to my car. He would hold the door for me. When I got in the car, he would close the door. He would get on his side, like.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
Because I think
I haven't had that issue.
Sounds like a real gentleman, right? Where's the marriage? See, I don't care, you know, he could be the nicest gentleman in the world. Does he want to marry you though? Again, if marriage is not if ladies, if marriage is not your goal, then what I'm saying is irrelevant. But we know that the vast majority of you want to get married. So he can be the perfect gentleman, but if he's not willing to marry you, how much time are you willing to waste? You know, are your expectations too high for the man who is willing to marry you? I don't know. But let's go ahead and look at these data points here because, you know, black marriage in 2021. Again, we're looking at blackdemographics.com. It's been a while since we checked out this site, but I wanted to look at this because, let's make this a little bit bigger, because these are important, right? Black marriage in 2021. So what do we have here? Okay, so black men, 85% of the black men who are married a black woman. Okay, now 8% says that have a white spouse, 4% Hispanic, and then 3% is usually there's some it's probably some Asian women mixed in there. You know, it could be some women from other countries as well, but typically that's what it is, especially in the United States, you know. But the point is that let's go down here to black women, because we were just looking at the clip from a black woman, right? Okay, so she was talking about how a white man was being an extraordinary gentleman to her. Okay, but where are the marriages at? The marriages say married black women, 93% have a black husband, 4% white husband, 2% Hispanic, 1% other. What does this mean? It means that you should be judging a man by his actions, and ultimately, again, if your goal is to get marriage, where are the married? Are you having is this man willing to have a conversation about marriage with you? If he's not, then, you know, why are you with him? that man. I mean, because again, a lot of times this goes to the whole, what do you, the whole experience thing, because that comes up a lot with women. They especially when it comes to them marrying younger. They don't want to miss out on the experiences. Okay, so if marriage is your ultimate goal, what experience, these experiences that you're looking for, how are they going to help you find a husband? Especially if you've already found one, a man who is willing to marry you, that you have a definite interest in. What are you waiting? What are you hoping is out there? I mean, let's keep going. Let's scroll. Let's get some more data points in here, right? Marriage statistics by race. We're at the bottom, of course, 30% or 33%. And then these other races are basically high. They're more prone to marriages. Now, what I find interesting is that, this links back to another video, which I'm gonna leave a card in right about here. That talks about society tells us that women, you should be happy, and if you're not happy, then you should leave the relationship. Okay, well, here's society. Here's a breakdown of society right here, and they're all more married than we are. So, I mean, you can listen to society if you want, but they're sticking with their men. I don't know. Because look at even the divorce rate in the Asian community, 5% divorce rate. They're not leaving. 12% in the whites, 9% in the Hispanic, and 12% in the African Americans. Now, where does this come from? It's 2020 U.S. Census. This is crazy. 50% of us in the Black community have never been married. Yeah, we got to get it together. I think, and see, this is why I like to cover these data points, because again, the whole point is the gender war is dumb. And a lot of times it's perpetuated by myths and legends. And, so-and-so felt like this. No, that's not what yeah. Somebody had the nerve somebody actually left a comment on my post that said marriage is a dying breed, but I mean, I don't see it. Looks like other communities in this country are not having because marriage rates are close to 50% across the board. So I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something, but I don't know. Especially if you're talking about you want to raise the next generation. We've seen the data. Best way to do that is in a marriage. So if marriage is a dying breed, we're really in trouble. I don't know. Okay. But guys, I thought that was a great talking point. So we're going to leave it here. And I'm going to say goes to the next time. Peace. Thanks for making it to the end of this video. But do me another favor. Like and subscribe. But also check out these here. Either subscribe or watch videos. One or the other. I don't know which side. But hey, all right. Mike here, Money, Marriage, and Media, and today we're looking at Lapeef Jr. We're back with the ladies again from The Solution. Now, why do we keep coming back here? Because, well, little birdie told me that behind closed doors, when it's just women, they actually do hold each other accountable. And we've seen it happen here on this show, so I'm going to keep highlighting this because we do need more women holding women accountable. So let's go ahead and see what we're talking about today. Should women sacrifice their happiness to keep the family together? Now, I think I know where this is going, but hey, you never can tell, right? High-level conversations is what we're looking for. They tend to have it on this show. That's why I keep trying to highlight, and we keep coming back here. And as long as they're having it, we're going to keep coming back. It is what it is. Let's go.
If he's not bringing in his weight, he does no longer make her happy. She doesn't want to be with him. Should she still try to make it work regardless because she already has baby number 2? Because we sit here and say, bring back shame, do this, do that. But if you got yourself in a situation with a man you no longer desire to be with, but you have their child or you're carrying their child, should you just suck it up and just suffer for the long run? Because
Absolutely not.
Remember the vows, till death do us part. That's what you said. Live up to it.
Absolutely not.
Not
No,
what
women used to do that. Women used to do that when they didn't have any other option. And then they were unhappy for years, just dealing with a man that they didn't want to be with just for the family. And, you know, regardless, some people are like, oh, do it for the kids. And like the kids see that mom and dad aren't happy. The kids see that you guys aren't in love anymore. So it's like, what are you really doing it for? So that's
Here's the problem, though. Is that what she's talking about is there's a little bit of truth, but most of it's misinformation. See, she's equating children growing up without their father versus seeing mom and dad argue. It doesn't. There's a big difference there, and it's disparaging to see that this type of that this info gets used in this argument, because the reality is that having when both parents are still there, they both still raise the kids, versus you trying to do it on your own, which is the real dilemma there. Because let's face it, when these relationships end, it's women who usually get the kids, and now that woman has to go out there and try and do everything on her own. Versus, okay, well, mommy and daddy are still fighting. Well, first off, why are you fighting? What are you fighting over? You know, and I'm almost certain someone's going to bring up some extreme case where, you know, somebody is getting beaten to death or something like that. But the majority of the times when divorce happens, because we keep track of with marriages on this side of the camera, when the majority of the time when marriages are over or there's a divorce involved, that's not the reason. The number one reason is for divorce, no fault divorce. It's not because somebody almost died in a fight. But I may be going in the wrong direction, though. Let's keep going and find out.
that's the question that I want to know. And it just in your mental health, you being happy means everything. And if you're not happy, your kids see it, it passes down. I don't think any woman should do that. Do I think you should try? Absolutely. If it's something that can be fixed or worked on, absolutely. Don't just, you know, skate out just because if it's something that is fixable. But if there's no reconciliation.
Here's the thing. Again, the marriage vows, till death do you part. That means that you're in it for the long run. So almost everything is fixable. It's not if it can't be fixed. No, most things can't. The vast majority of things can. And again, the exceptions, we don't need to discuss those because those don't happen that often.
That can happen and it's just over with, then leave.
let's go in order. Chanel, what do you think? Should a woman sacrifice? And thank you, Curse for Life. That was a good one.
Curse for Life, modern woman, everybody. Thank you.
Chanel, do you think a woman should sacrifice her happiness and just put up with it because she decided to have a baby? That was her choice. Is that how she takes responsibility, is by marrying that man and being with him and just sticking it out because they have kids together or a kid together?
I want to know what the sacrifice is. If it's cheating, that's really up to that woman, especially if children are involved, or abuse. In my personal opinion, abuse and cheating are two things that I think should be separated from this.
What if he's not financially pulling his weight? What if
it's not financially pulling his weight? Life goes on. Things change. You get promotions. You get better jobs. You get better education. Stick it out. Why are we giving, yes, back in the days, the women didn't have much education or financials or what have you. But today, women are doing so much better financially. Why are we giving up a family, especially with children involved, because he's not making money? Those things can change. Those things can change. And then you also, from what I said prior, seeing who he is before marrying him, before children, you would know the type of man he is already.
I'm glad one of them said it. You need to pick better. Just because you get proposed to doesn't mean you need to accept. But the other thing she hinted at is that that things do change, right? He may have been the breadwinner and then fell on hard times. I'm gonna have to speak up for the guys on this one a little bit because we see this all too often about women who want to flex their career and the amount of money that they're making. Okay, if you're that type of woman, I look, got no shame for you, but you can't sit there and complain about the guy not making enough money when y'all met. You was bragging about what you do. You got your own business. You making all this money. If that's the case, then pick up the guy. You go be the breadwinner until he gets back on his feet. It may be a while, but if you're married, you don't have an alternative. Well, the alternative is you don't complain about it. You don't complain about the lifestyle drop or anything like that. You support that man until he gets back on his feet. Or you take over as being the breadwinner. I mean, if you're going to sit there and brag about how independent you are or how, how much money you making, how great your career is, how you're focused on it. I'm going to just be honest. The way some of y'all ladies talk about this stuff, you might need to be signed up to be the breadwinner in the beginning anyway, because that's the only way that your money is going to mean anything. But even then, that doesn't happen until after you get married. Before marriage, most guys are not going to care about your career or anything like that. Why? Because most women still want the man to pay for the dates. So, because we know that if we're responsible for paying for the dates, how does your money help us do that? It doesn't. That's why we don't care. But in the situations where I'm talking about, right? Okay. If the guy falls on hard times, then you're supposed to stick it out. Money is not a reason for divorce. It's not, for richer or for poorer. You're supposed to stick it out and make it work. So my advice is in that situation, number one, the guy needs to come up with a plan of how he's going to get back on his feet. And you should be accepting of that. And you got to hold it down until he does. And sometimes plans don't work out. But again, you signed up for the long haul when you said I do. So, it's just what it is. Or figure out how to make it work if you're the breadwinner. If the guy is, and see, this is where we got to take some accountability because, let's say that you fall on hard times and then, the plan for you to get back on your feet is not working as fast as you want it to. Okay, well, don't just sit there and cry about it. You better suck it up and start doing the other things that need to get done around the house. You're not going to tell me that the number of meals you're cooking is not going to increase. The amount of laundry that you're doing should go up. You're not just sitting around because, no, you can't be lazy and be in your feelings about, well, man, I ain't making as much money. Okay, well, money is not everything. You need to pick up the slack in your responsibilities and start finding other ways to be valuable to your marriage. Plain and simple. I know it sucks. And guys are going to call you, and guys on YouTube or whatever, they'll call you, oh, he's a beta and all this other stuff. First off, I don't believe in that crap. You got to make it because it's you and your wife in the marriage. You need to figure out how it's going to work. So let's move on because we're getting off topic.
Hardworking man, he's gonna make money eventually.
Thank you. That's it right there.
To see through the eyes of him. Is he leading you to something, or is he leading you off a cliff? There's a difference. The type of man that you marry, a quality man, will actually lead you and tell you what is going on, how he's moving, what the plans are. Now, sacrificing happiness. Happiness is fleeting. There are going to be times where you hate him. There are going to be times where you love him. You just want to be all up in his skin, as my mom would say. There's ebbs and flows to relationships, like I said before. Happiness is fleeting. What you need is joy. And my last point is, us as Black people in the United States, we've been doing the I'm happy so much. Where has it gotten us today?
On the bottom in most statistics. Yeah.
Destruction. We need to start thinking of the collective. We keep doing individual, and now we're all over the place. Let us come together, come to a consensus, and actually try to be a group. And it starts with family.
What's interesting is that when you think about anything else, let's take it away from relationships, right? Let's say it's in a career. Okay, well, you want to be the best? Name me a career where being the best doesn't come with sacrifice. you're going to have to do things that other people are not willing to do. Now we take it back to relationships. That means that you're going to have to work through your happiness. And that sounds crazy, I know, but the reality is that you're not going to be happy. Why? Because you're going to have to give up things in order to make the relationship work. But again, well, why should I have sacrificed all that? What should I take on all that risk, that marriage, and she's going to leave me and take half my stuff? Because you want to build a legacy. Because you want your kids to be at the best. You want your kids to be great. Nobody said it was going to be easy. How come we apply that to everything else in life but marriage? Well, these laws work against me. That's right, they do. And you're going to have to suck it up and make it work. Especially if you're a man and you're talking about and you want to build a legacy like 99% of men want. I mean, if you figure out a way to build a more sustainable way of building a big legacy than having a large family, especially if you're talking about you want to set your kids up for success. I mean, don't get me wrong. Look, if you don't want kids, you want to build your own legacy and, in your lifetime, and don't get married, but don't have kids either. So we need to get rid of this stigma about, or we need to get rid of the idea of, well, we don't have to be married in order to. No, the results say you do. The data says the best environment is in a marriage. That's the best environment to raise kids. So, you're going to have to take a risk. Yes, there's some risk involved with marriage. I'm not denying that. But, name me something that has a great upside with no risk in it. I'll wait.
So you'll be unhappy for a little bit because he gets on your nerves or she gets on his nerves, whatever. But marriage is not just about happiness. There's so much more to it. You build.
Because the society is telling women, choose you, choose happiness, even if it's at the extent of breaking up the family. You gotta.
Yeah, society tells you that, but it's funny. The people that say that, are they at the bottom with us? They're not, huh? So I don't know why we want to listen to them, because they're not doing it in their communities. Might be something to that.
Do what you gotta do. The kids will be okay. They'll see their dad every other weekend.
The kids will not be okay.
Fine. Society
the statistics are against us. They are against us when it comes to that. We all know the statistic. Children that grow up in a mother and father home who are married are the best of the best. I'm not saying that they're perfect and they'll never commit crimes and they'll never do, but they are the top when it comes to those statistics. So why not set yourself up for success? Why
not? Miss Taken, how do you feel about that?
Unmute yourself first so we can hear you.
I said, repeat the question.
The question.
I gotta make sure I have it right.
Should a woman sacrifice her happiness at the extent of keeping the family together? So, as an example, Summer Walker, if her boyfriend or whatever is having financial difficulties, seeming
old guy here, I'm 41. I don't know who Summer Walker is. Apparently, whoever she is, she's been going through it. Let me know in the comments if it's worth doing some research and putting together a video, because it's not the first time I've heard that name before, and yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Like he can't get it together, he can't pull his weight, or a woman who's just no longer happy being with that man. He doesn't make her happy. He's not satisfying her needs. She's tried and tried again, and at this point, it's like either become a two-time baby mama or stick it out. What do you think?
All right. So, is it different? I think if you, because I've seen a situation where a guy that I know got someone pregnant and married her, because he was like, I don't want her to be another statistic. I want to do the right thing, right? And he married her. and then ended up having another kid with her, within a marriage. But because he knew he never loved her to begin with, in his mind, he's like, I'm gonna just sacrifice, and I'm, just not gonna deal with,
Okay, this is one of the times where I actually don't believe that you should marry the woman. That's a tough situation to be in, but the reality is that you got all the just because you. This is why I say that stop sleeping with women who you can't see being a future wife because of situations just like what she's talking about. So you avoid those because once the sex is over, you have no leverage. You put your future in somebody else's hands. Don't do that. You lose all power. You lose all leverage. And you put that into somebody's hands who more than likely does not have your best interests at heart. The lady that she's talking about in this example, she says she knows the guy, right? Well, the lady that she's talking about, she didn't love that guy. She didn't. Because women who are, if you're on the same page, they're not going to want to have the kid before you're ready. Now, if you guys haven't discussed that, then that's your fault. You shouldn't have a sexual relationship with somebody who you haven't discussed the possibility of having kids with. That's just the disaster. The exact disaster that's waiting to happen is what she's talking about.
I'm gonna just be in this marriage, knowing that I'm not necessarily in love with her, but be there for the kids. The end result was they got divorced anyway.
Big surprise.
And then he remarried and is now in a happy marriage with 2 kids. So in that regard, I don't think if it happens before you get married, I don't think you should move forward in a marriage when you already know that the odds are against you to begin with, and you're going into a marriage knowing you're not happy with this person, knowing that you already have issues with this person, to just go and get married to them anyway for the sake of the kids. I think you're doing a disservice to the kids, because the likelihood of that marriage working, you're going to end up divorced anyway. So now that's more trauma that I would think the kids would go through, because they've seen the parents together and now they're separated. However, I do think it's different when you're already married.
It is.
I do believe that, and I know a lot of people don't want to, hear this, but like Chanel said, when you are married, it ebbs and flows. There's going to be times where you're unhappy in your marriage. And sometimes it has nothing to do with the partner. Sometimes the partner becomes the scapegoat, but it's your own unhappiness, and it's easier to kind of scapegoat somebody else.
Oh, no, she didn't say that. No, let's take it. They're going to come take you out. You can't say that. You can't say that. You can't say that on camera. No, the sisterhood going to take you out. You can't say that. She's right, but man, if she don't show up in the next episode, we know what happened.
Like, if he only picked up his shoes, or if he only did this, I would be happy, but it's not that. But because it ebbs and flows, and happiness, just like anger, just like sadness, all of those are fleeting emotions. So if you still have the same core values, the same beliefs, the same goal, I do think you should sacrifice your happiness, I would say, for a period of time. Because again, just like you can fall out of happiness, you can fall back into it. I think a lot of times we don't give enough time for that to happen. We don't like sitting in discomfort. We don't like being in a phase of unhappiness. So we automatically look for the thing to make us feel good or make us not feel bad. And in a marriage, you can't do that. You're gonna have to sacrifice. And sometimes that sacrifice may be your happiness, because it's not just about you. It's about the kids, it's about the husband, and vice versa. But I think if you have a foundation of what your ultimate goal is, then I think sacrificing your happiness for a period of time, I'm not saying live a whole miserable, 20 years of marriage, or whatever. When it becomes, now at that point, it becomes a mental issue for you where you can't fully show up in your marriage to your husband or your kids. I'm not saying if you're, in that situation, but I do think, yeah, there were times in my marriage where I was unhappy. He knew it. There were times that he was unhappy. I knew it because we still communicated with each other. But the bottom line was, how do we work through it? What do we need to do to make it better? And that's where the conversation needs to be, so you can be there for the kids.
I don't have anything. I don't have any commentary to add, except that we got to get her some GPS tracker and put it in her skin or something. Man, she might not be here no more. The sisterhood go take her out. You can't say that stuff in public, boy. They'll come for you. Woo! Oh boy. Okay. All right.
Miss Taken, you changed my whole mind. I appreciate that. I appreciate your take on that, for real.
Yeah.
Women holding women accountable. And y'all told me it doesn't happen. I'm sitting. My source on that was 100% right. I'm telling you, it happens live on this show. We got to start. We're gonna be looking more at the solutions. Again, JR, if you watching this, I see why you call it that now, because that was real talk right there from a married woman. And she just gave you the real what it really means to be married, right? Again, the vows mean something.
Thank you.
Shamonay.
So I absolutely agree with Mistaken and Chanel. I compromise, so it's all about compromising. And you're right. Feelings fleet, they're fleet, they come and they go. But I would just say the only exception to that is if it turns into like alcohol, being, an alcoholic, or if you're so miserable where you're lashing out at the kids, or you are doing things in front of the kids that can be almost abuse, not hands-on abusive, but just not a good environment for your children. That's the only way. Other than that, if you guys are two adults and you're able to communicate effectively, and you're able to work together to raise your children in a healthy environment, I say stick it out.
Yeah, and she's 100%. Look, we're gonna leave it here because this clip is almost done anyway, right? So, the synopsis here is we got to look out for Miss Taken, because we don't want nothing to happen to her. Gems, just dropping gems all over the place. Changing hearts and minds. But more importantly, I don't want to end this video without talking about what Shantae was talking about when those when you have the things that she mentioned. Y'all go back and listen, because I'm not going to recap that. But the things that she mentioned, those are not reasons to end a marriage. Because again, if you're talking about something like alcoholism and other forms of addiction that come up because of the unhappiness, well, you need to seek the help of a licensed professional. I mean, that's what they're there for, right? And you need to seek some kind of some counseling or some form of therapy, right? Because that's what they're there for. But the whole point is that you stay together. It's too much at stake, and we can't make it without each other. So look, guys, this is definitely this is probably one of the better videos that I've seen from the PJR. So we're gonna hold it. They're holding it down, and we're gonna keep it there. And I'm gonna say goes to the next time. Peace. Thanks for making it to the end of this video. But do me another favor, like and subscribe. But also check out these here. Either subscribe or watch videos, one or the other. I don't know which side, but hey, all right. Mike here, Money, Marriage, and Media, and you know what we're here doing? We're back with the ladies again, right? Bringing down some more high-level conversations. This time, the conversation is about, are you family-oriented? But specifically for them, because it's a panel of ladies, you have to ask yourself, are you a family-oriented woman? Now, I think this question applies to both genders. Realistically, though, most men are family oriented, but that may not appear like that from the woman's perspective, because you got to realize is that guys, because we want to be the head of the household, a lot of times the way we interpret the definition that we use for family, that's what you got to figure out if you agree with that man's definition of family. Because a lot of guys don't, there's a lot of guys out there that won't include marriage in the definition of family. So they cool with you being a baby mama. It's a small percentage of guys. It's less than 20%, but they're out there. So you got to be careful with that. But let's get it going, see what the ladies are talking about.
If you're a family oriented woman, and you have to really honestly be honest about that. Like, if you are a family oriented woman and you care about your family, it's not going to feel like sacrifice to you. Like my kids,
That's true.
I have 3 of them, went through C-section. Someone would say, why the hell would you do that 3 times? I didn't look at it as sacrifice. I didn't look at it as I'm throwing my body away, because it was something that I wanted to do. You have to want to do it. You have to have a desire, a love, and like something that's beyond self. And so I talked about this on another panel that I was on. I think that the modern day woman, there's a lot of things that are fed from society that are self-serving. So like marriage now, the modern day marriage looks like, oh, happiness, or oh, you have to be like happy all the time, or this ideal image, or this like, platonic ideal of what a house.
I'm glad she brought up marriage, because her first example of childbirth, it is a good example because most women can relate to it. But the real example is the marriage, because in a lot of ways that requires more compromise. Because the way you raise your kid, if you're a single mom, well, you're 100% gonna raise the kids the way you want to. But working within the confines of a marriage takes actual work, and there's an actual standard, and a lot of times that the women are not, they're not a part of. Because again, the man leads. Most women want a man who leads the household. Okay, well that means that you're following his standards. And I'm gonna be honest, a lot of women, they don't want to sign up for that. I mean, but that's what comes with being in a family, though. It comes, well, if you want to get married, the guy's going to have standards. If you want a guy to lead, then that means that he's going to have a vision of how he sees his family. Now, does that mean that it's 100% his way or the highway? No. Right? And we as men, we know this, right? The average men, we know this. That's why a lot of times that we're not afraid to compromise. That's why we value your opinion. Now, does that mean that we're always going to listen to you? No, it doesn't. And I think a lot of times women struggle with that. This is where you get the whole, okay, look, we're getting off topic. Let's keep going.
Household looks like versus the reality of it and everything like that. So like when you really care about your kids, you care about your husband, you care about all of that, you're not looking at it as sacrifice. And that's somebody that's like been, like when I was married, it wasn't sacrifice for me to go behind my husband and do things that are going to make his life easier. And in turn, because he sees that, he's willing to sacrifice as well. And so I think that it has to be a collaborative sacrifice. Even everything that we look across the board, even like religion, God calls for us to sacrifice. And in turn, we pay that price with receiving eternal life.
Okay,
so, like,
she's rambling.
There's a lot of things that require sacrifice.
Everything requires sacrifice.
Javar.
Okay, so y'all touched on a whole bunch of points, right? But I'm going to say first and foremost, like your happiness. We talked about mental health earlier here. Like people die because their hearts are hurt or they're depressed or they're unhealthy. Like your happiness is your life force, right? So to sacrifice that for the sake of, say, the family, I think there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. Like the kids will be okay if you have 2 parents who really care about the kids. There's way. I know people who they spend holidays together. The husband to go stay the night at the wife's house, or vice versa, and they stay with the kids. Like the kids will be okay if that's the goal, to make your kids happy, successful, adults in the world. So the sacrifice, like just being happy, I don't agree with it at all. Obviously, like Ms. Tagan said, there are points in relationships where people we might like each other right now. We're going through something and you work through it if the purpose is to work through what you're working.
This woman sounds like she's not going to compromise on anything. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like she's not willing to bend on anything. This literally is probably the man that she is married to. If she's married, I would be interested to meet that brother, because I would want to know, like, how. Well, maybe it's different. Maybe it's different at home, but the way she's talking, it makes it seem like she is the head of her household, and I'm not compromising on anything. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
But I think a lot of people, like, we're pushing this whole idea of get married, start a family, but it's like even within that or before that, like, you have to have your.
That's the whole point. Life is about people, and your purpose is to prepare the next generation. Well, what's more important than family? I don't know. My family is pretty important to me. My legacy, living on, me raising my children and getting grandkids, that's pretty high priority for me. So like I said, I'd be interested to know what she has going on that's more important than that. So
purpose and life set, so like if you with somebody and we understand what we're really going towards, if your goal is specifically to be together, like, I really want to have kids, I really want to raise these kids a certain way, and that's the goal or your purpose in getting married, that's one thing. Or if your purpose is something bigger, to build a community, or to, people have different goals and purposes in life, but stick to that. You might have an individual thing, but yeah, your happiness, no, you have to do that to survive, like, life. And
Javar, you said something about mental health, and I couldn't help but to think about, and maybe this is extreme, but I don't think this is extreme. This was a common thing that happened before postpartum was talked about in medication and therapy. I think about Andrea Yates, how she just kept popping out babies after babies after babies for her husband, while he wasn't a bad husband, he wasn't abusive, he was just working a lot and he was gone, and she was at home with those children, and he did not recognize the signs of postpartum. Postpartum can last up to 2 years. So, she's just had baby after baby after baby, and her mental health kept declining, and she was unhappy to the point where postpartum, I don't think men really understand postpartum depression. They don't understand that you can start hallucinating. You can start seeing things that are not there. You start hearing things. You'll start seeing your kids differently. Like, it is extreme. And that's why the hospitals are very, very adamant and hard on postpartum and identifying the signs. Every time you take your baby to go get a checkup, they're asking you, and check out this list and check out these boxes. How are you feeling? Do you feel like you want to die? Do you feel like all these things? Do you think about suicide thoughts? Do you think about harming your...
Okay. She's contradicting herself. You can't on one hand say, well, I don't think men understand this this psychological issue, but then say that's why the hospitals have you fill out this questionnaire. Yet they have you fill out the questionnaire because postpartum depression is hard to catch. So on one hand, we're saying that the men don't understand, but at the other hand is that, well, yeah, the hospital, they want you to fill out this questionnaire because it's important. Yeah, because they have a hard time diagnosing it. And, excuse me, but, so, okay, let me back up here and let me add some context. I studied psychology in college It's just a bachelor's degree. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean I'm licensed or anything like that. But one of the things that I did discover through research is that that survey that they have you fill out, that doesn't tell them that you have postpartum depression. All that does is say, hey, you might need to sit down and talk to a licensed professional. That's all it does. It's not a diagnosis. Because again, the doctor that you see or the doctor that you see, they're going to want to make their own diagnosis after you sit down and talk to them for at least an hour. And it may be that they ask you, okay, well, they say that at the end of that hour, they say that, okay, there may or may not be something here. We want to have you come back for another session just to be sure. So this whole notion that your man, your husband, is going to be able to see all this stuff around, that's not realistic. And yes, the symptoms that she's talking about, they are very much real. But that's why the hospital, they ask you those questions, because too many times it goes undiagnosed and there's not enough time to make a proper diagnosis. So it literally is a phishing tool that they're using to say, okay, well, we want to make sure, we want to be thorough and say that, we tried. And particularly if the hospital is doing it and it's mandatory, I would think that at some point there was some legal action that they're trying to avoid.
Your baby, and they'll have you rate it on a scale of 1 to 5 to help identify if you have postpartum depression and how serious it is. And for us to not acknowledge that when we say women should choose, family first, I think this was a woman who kept giving her husband what he wanted, and no one was helping her, and she was doing her wifely duties and her motherly duties until she snapped and drowned all 5 of her children. And then,
okay, I know who she's talking about now. And again, we like to use these extreme examples because how many people are having 5 kids? That's not the norm. The fact that you have 5 kids is not the norm. The fact that the depression continued against that whole time, again, not the norm. So, I hate to make it seem like I'm just dismissing it altogether. But again, the thing that we have to understand is that when you're talking in YouTube period, right, you're literally talking to thousands of people at a time. This is not the place for nuanced arguments. Because again, that is literally what you're saying needs to apply to a multitude of people.
it actually was a common thing. That's why all these things are in place to protect the children, because a lot of women, probably some women to this day, probably got away with harming their children because it wasn't something, postpartum wasn't a thing. So what do y'all say about that? Does that still count? If a woman
I think it's an extreme. I know, like what you did, that was an extreme situation, but there are many women that do go through postpartum. So it's serious. But I do think mental health is what we were referring to, at least I thought, was just a general consensus of a healthy woman and a healthy man coming together in a relationship.
I think that I was, but then you also, when we say that in the same breath, because I agree, I don't disagree with anything that you ladies had to say. I think it's just like when we think about it from men are saying, you hear men say, it doesn't matter about your happiness doesn't matter. Your purpose is to be a wife and a mother to my kids, take care of the home, take care of the kids. Some women may develop mental illness.
Again, she's in an extreme argument. Because why? You notice she preferenced it with, okay, let's set the narrative here. What she's talking about is a narrative to where the man is responsible for the woman's mental health issues. Because again, well, you saying, well, Mike, I didn't see that. I heard she's making legitimate claims. Okay. If she is, then why isn't she talking about men's mental health? men's mental health is actually a men's issue. It's a big one too. It's important. But again, you notice she didn't address it. But she prefaced her responses to saying that the man is getting what he wants, and what he wants, she's saying it like there's a correlation, because if you give a man what he wants, it's going to lead to you being mentally unhealthy. The gender war is dumb. From what she's saying, how is that supposed to help couples get together? See what I said? This is what I mean when I say about the gender war being perpetuated. She's using an extreme example, and she's trying to connect the dots of it being the fault of the men. Got to call this stuff out, people. Got to call it out, because otherwise, this is what black men are talking about when we say that we had 40 years of having to put up with this stuff in the media, because statements like that go unchecked and nobody says anything, and the men just have to eat it.
Just like a man can develop mental illness and hurt his family, but it was more common with women because of the science behind it after giving birth to a child.
No, it's more common in women, because when you're a man, nobody wants to hear about your mental health issues unless they're a licensed professional and you went there going to seek help. But most men are not going to do that. They're going to try and talk to people they're familiar with first. The problem is that a lot of times you get the door shut in your face. Just what it is. That's why I say, guys, women are not equipped to handle masculine problems. That's where a network of men can come in handy. You go talk to your guy friends about your masculine problems, because women very rarely have an understanding of a male experience.
There's literally a chemical imbalance behind a woman.
Yeah, I had even read a study too, like, which actually shocked me, was more along the lines, like, I was looking up like abuse, parental abusive rates, and like basically who abused more. And in my mind, and I had to check myself, like, oh, why did I even think like that? But I assumed that it was men or fathers or dads who were more abusive to children. And I guess because I tie the whole discipline thing, with them, I'm like trying to understand my thought. But when I looked up the stats, it is more women. Women are more abusive to children than men. Right. And so I do think not to negate the fact that postpartum or mental health isn't an issue. It absolutely is. So I don't want to take away from that. But like I said, I thought we were talking just in a general sense of two healthy people. If you have mental health issues, I don't necessarily know if you have the mental capacity to determine between what sacrifice is. Like, you're just trying to get from day to day, and you're just moving, through life, so to speak, and whatever comes at you, come what may. But in a situation with mental health, I think that's a whole different conversation would need to be had.
Ms. Takey, I think what we're forgetting is you might not start off like that, but declining happiness will cause your mental health to decline as well. So,
and you can't make this stuff up. So what about the vast majority of women who receive happiness from children and family? Yeah, extremes. This is why conversations like this are so important. We did get some accountability here, because that was good. I like it when the women can hold each other accountable, have high level conversations. But that whole thing about that narrative is we got to start calling that out, because she cleaned it up a little bit in the end, B. Taylor, when she came back and talked about men's mental health. But look at the amount of time that she spent on men's mental health versus the women, and how she prefaced it. I'm talking about, there's another video where I'm reviewing. I am Courtney Michelle's content, and I talk about, once you see a narrative or once you learn the male perspective, you can't unsee certain things. This is one of those times. So, but look, great conversation. We will be back with the ladies again, I promise, because again, like I said, high level conversations, and that's what we're looking for. That's the goal. So I'm gonna stay ghost to the next time. Peace. Thanks for making it to the end of this video, but do me another favor, like and subscribe, but also check out these here. Either subscribe or watch videos, one or the other. I don't know which side, but hey, all right. Mike here. Today we're looking at Daily Wrap-Up Crew. The young guys have got now look, when you get shows like this, the gender war is running rampant, right? And I mean, I get it. It makes for great TV or whatever you want to call it. It's very entertaining, but it's still dumb. Don't get me wrong. But again, sometimes you got to take a look at these things because they do have their moments where you can get some high-level conversations. So hopefully we're going to see that today. The title of this is, let's bring this in here better. There we go. That's a little bit better. All right. The title of this is there a problem with black men protecting black women? Why are we looking at this? Because it's a major gender war talking point. Black women don't feel protected. Let's see what we got.
Get to this topic about protecting black women, because that's a big topic as well. In what ways do you think black men can protect black women more?
This is a good premise. Brother Eli here actually put the question to the women. So this is good because we're going to actually hear how women feel that they are not being protected and suggestions of how we can move forward. Solutions, people, they do matter.
I guess standing up for us more in spaces with non-black people and in spaces with black people. I think also not contributing to colorism and texturism and featureism. And if you know someone that does, like, literally say something. I think the biggest issue right now is the ones who don't contribute to it are like silent or don't say anything to others who do contribute to it. They kind of just like, that's not me though, so it's not an issue. And it's like, say something to the ones who are doing it, because even though you're not doing it, there's many out there who are doing it. And it's important for you to say something because they think it's okay to do it because y'all not saying nothing. We're the only ones saying something. And because we are the ones who are experiencing it, it's coming off like, oh, y'all are too sensitive. Y'all are bitter. Y'all are jealous. Like, and it's like, no, we're not. Like, you're hurting us. You keep gaslighting us, like, repeatedly. And at some point, we're getting tired. And then on top of it, we looking for black men who don't think that way to speak up for us. But then y'all are staying silent because it's like, oh, I don't do that, so it's not an issue. Instead of just acknowledging like, okay, there are a lot of black men who do it. We need to hold them accountable. So that would be one. And I think like, yeah, I think that's really it.
Fair point. My contention with that is, my pushback on that is that if you want protection comes with certain, you're going to have to give up something. It's, you can't just expect the men to just jump out there for nothing. I mean, what is the advantage that he's going to gain from it? Now, traditionally, what was happening in the past is that you would go from your father's protection to your husband. But oftentimes, we went over the marriage rate on this on this channel before. 30% in the black community. That means that over around 70% of our women are unprotected. So you get women who are just like this young lady here who feel like black men need to do more. But traditionally, we haven't done more. Traditionally, what's happened is more of us were married. So then it becomes you're under the protection of your husband. So, black women, you want more protection, then we need to start promoting the nuclear families. Because you can't just expect a random guy to come protect you. What does he get out of doing that? Well, he should just want to do it. Here's the part that a lot of women don't understand. A man coming to your aid, particularly if there is another man present, is literally putting his life on the line. I know it sounds extreme, but that's the difference, though. This is a thing about men that women have no clue about. Between men, there is that low-level threat of violence. This is why you see when men see each other on the street, we have to give each other, it's not necessary, but a lot of us give each other the nod as a form of respect, because it's a nod that says that, yeah, I see you, man. Hey, what's going on? I see you, and let's just keep it morning. I see you, and I'm going to show you some respect by speaking to you or nodding or acknowledging you. That's how serious it is. So when you feel like, so as a woman, when you feel like there's a man disrespecting you, if I step in and speak up for you, I am literally challenging the other man. And it could get to the point where I have to put my life on the line because it can go there. So what do I get in return for sticking up for you? I thank you. I'm going to risk my life for a thank you from a stranger. That's why most men are saying no. But it does. Now, does it leave our women unprotected? Yes, it does. But again, there is. So this is one of the benefits of marriage. Let's keep going.
Okay, what do y'all think? In what ways do you think black men can help protect black women or protect black women more?
I would say start first in the black men community. Like, I would say lift the standard and hold yourselves accountable. So when you're among other men who do not respect black women, who do not treat us, with value and so forth, check them and say, bro, you're not doing it. You're not embracing the black culture. You're not, uplifting the black culture and so forth. So instead of having your brothers and so forth, and you hang with the guys and, you talk mess about black women and, I smacked that last night and so forth, that's not acceptable. Mm-hmm. So that's how you can protect them, because how are you going to, unless you're holding yourselves accountable, there's not going to be any respect among men for women. So that's my point.
Anybody else?
How this assumes that we are having these conversations outside of our own race. So usually, you know what? I'm not even going to try and figure out how she's getting privy to conversations where like, who is talking about her when she's there and she's not addressing it. Like, it's hard for women to get involved in conversations that take place among men where we are going to be brutally honest like that without you being invited. So my question to her is that where are you seeing this at happening en masse? Is this something that you feel happens, or is it something that is happening because you have personal knowledge of it? I'm not saying it happens or it doesn't happen, but my question is, because she was very specific about those things. So it just makes me wonder. And again, look, I'm going to address all this stuff as a summary at the end.
I need black men to listen to us and show us respect. Listen to us and, let us have a say. Simple things, even don't let it feel like because they're the men in the house, listen to our input and let us feel equal, even though you are the man, you are the head of the household. Just listen to us and treat us with respect.
I also low-key want to add, I think also, like, when we speak up about our experiences, I think stop dismissing us too when we talk about it. I feel like we get blamed a lot. Like, even with that video when I went viral, it was like the response I got from black men was, we didn't want you anyways, or you're ugly, or your teeth are yellow, or your skin is dark, or just coming from my looks. Like, do y'all see why I'm like, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
what was the woman saying?
The woman were saying,
yes, girl. Go ahead, girl. Do your thing, girl.
They said, I understand.
It was none of that go girl stuff.
No, I understand and I hear you. Some women were saying, I went through the same thing. I understand why you're doing this. The response I got from black men, I literally said, I get the most hate from my black men. The response I got was hate from black men coming from my looks. Oh, you wearing wigs. Oh, you're wearing makeup. Oh, you look this, you look that. It's like, I just said I get the most hate from y'all, and y'all responded by giving me hate instead of trying to hear a sister out and understand where I'm coming from and, you know, just like feel for me in a way, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's contradicting to make comments like, oh, like you're ugly, you're this, when I say I went through colorism and I got the most hate from my own men. When you respond by giving me hate, that doesn't make any sense in my opinion. So.
Oh, well, I just want to let you know you're a beautiful black woman.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. And the internet is a world that's unbelievable. I don't know.
Made to promote hate. Like,
yeah.
That's what it is.
Can I put this one to please? Black men need to do more to stay in the homes. I know it happens in other races, but stop forming gangs. Stop contributing to the negativity of society. We need our men in the homes. It's a beautiful thing when the man is in the home and the children have their father.
Yeah, because women don't file for divorce 70% of the time. Right. Yeah, okay.
And the wife has her husband. We don't want to come to the prison to come and visit you. Like, stay in the homes. Do the things, the positive.
Oh, God, gender war 101. Black men are in prison. 94% of us are not in prison. Stop using that as a talking point. Again, this is why conversations like this are so important. And we got to, because this is, you get these gender war talking points. They can be defeated with data and statistics. 94% of black men are not in prison. 94. Stop using that old talking point. It doesn't work here. We've moved on.
Positive things that you know are right and stay in the homes to protect us. That's how you're going to protect us.
That's a very important point, and I'm very big on community and family and marriage in the black community. But we had on this panel before, we asked black women, do you want to get married? And when I ask black men, do they want to get married, they say yes. But oftentimes when I ask black women, do they want to get married, it's a no. And it's almost like I would rather be a baby mom than be a wife. And I think, and I want y'all to hold those women accountable, because if you're saying that we need families, when you hear black women say, I don't want to be a wife, I don't want to get married, that's ultimately contributing to men not being in a home. You get what I'm saying? So I would like black women to start holding those women accountable and speaking up and talk about, because marriage is a beautiful thing. Obviously, if you're going off of social media, they only going to show the negatives. You're going to see somebody getting divorced every 5 seconds. But you're never going to see the positive, healthy, successful black relationships out there, because they too busy basking in their success. They're not on social media bragging about or taking pictures. Like, you know what I mean? They're not
Yeah, 100%. But that's why I started this channel, because we need more married people speaking up.
And the world dictate their relationships. So oftentimes you only hear it from one side. But as of recently, I do hear more black women say that they don't want to get married over black men. You know what I mean? So I do agree that black men do need to stay in the household more. Some things is out of our factor as far as systematic injustice and just the prison pipeline, the lack of funding for young black boys and black men. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm not saying that's an excuse, but there are certain factors that might contribute to that. But I do agree with you. They do need to stay in the house more.
I like what you said about that, because I feel like social media is just a dangerous place when it comes to trends. I feel like we glorify baby mom culture in the black community so much to the point where, like, there was...
That's a cringe moment. Why? Because social media is actually dominated by women. The only male platform, social media platform that's dominated by men is YouTube. The rest of them are dominated by women. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. The other one that I'm not on. But yeah, dominated by women. So what does that say?
There's one woman who made a video who basically said, like, she don't want to be a baby mom and she wants to be a wife. She wants to live like the simple suburban life. And people in the comments were like, why are you trying to be white? Like, you're just trying to be white. And I was like, you guys are so ignorant. Like, you're literally feeding into the like stereotype. Like, Black women can be wives. We can have standards. We can be women who live a simple suburban life and, you know, not in the club at 30 years old or anything like that. Like,
Definitely.
we can be that way, but you associate that with white, and then you make women who want that feel like they're being white when that's not the case at all. Like, and it's damaging to the community. Like, I even get called that I'm trying to be white because I say I want to be a wife, and it's like, what's...
This is the first time ever hearing of this, and that's disparaging. That is just sad. Women actually shamed for wanting to be wives, bro. See, then you know what, guys. Look, ladies, all two of you that are watching this channel, right? Well, if you have a woman who's shaming you for, you know, wanting to be a wife, wanting to be married, you straight up ask them, okay, so what do you say to the statistics that prove that children who come from two-parent households end up being better members of society than kids raised by a single parent? What do you say to that? We're just going to ignore it and be like it doesn't happen? And, you know, the prison system isn't filled with, you know, kids who grew up in a single parent household and they go on to become criminals, degenerates of society. Ladies, if you got women who are trying to shame you for being wives, those aren't your friends. You need to stop talking to them and move on. Because ultimately, that is one of the things that's killing our community.
Because I have standards, I'm trying to be white. Like, so white women are the only ones who can have standards now? Like, no, that's not okay. So
we have the lowest marriage rate in the country. So I'm sorry, but women who shame other women for wanting to be wives, it's part of the reason why our community's on the bottom. And that's just dumb. Stop talking to people who think like that. Just don't even argue with them. Forget what I said before. Don't even argue with them. Just leave them where they at, because that's not worth your time.
Yo, Wolf, how much time we got left, real quick, Wolf? All right.
And I did want to say that women got to help us hold other men accountable too, because we could do our part and, you know, tell our bros like, yo, you doing wrong, whatever. But if women still rewarding these fuck niggas and everything, because what we saying gonna go through in one ear and come out the other. Because like, yo, if I'm like, yo, you gotta stop disrespecting her, and the same girl he disrespecting still coming back to the crib, throwing it back. You know what I mean? What he gonna do? Why would he stop?
That's a great point. I do want to talk about that as well, because I'm glad that you mentioned that, bro. I don't know how that slipped my mind. As much as men can hold men accountable, and you know we heard y'all say that, and you know I'm gonna definitely do my part more. But I agree with Keem. Like, if women are still going back to these toxic men and rewarding them with what they want, psychologically, why would I change if I'm still getting rewarded for the same behavior? You get what I'm saying? So, as much men, we do need to hold more men accountable, obviously. But I need women to. If a man is disrespecting you, like, don't reward him because he apologized or he said.
Yeah, 100%. They are 100% right. You know, if you're married, that's different. But most of the women in our community are not married. You know, we got to, and believe it or not, I'm going to fault the men for this. Why? Because we got to do a better job of raising our daughters. That's plain and simple. When the woman gets to her 20s and she's already like that, the chances of her changing? Nah. But raising our daughters to have realistic standards will help eliminate a lot of these problems. But you can't do that if you're not in the home. So this goes back to the whole protection thing, right? Because black women feel unprotected. Yeah, you should. You know, 70% of you are not married. Protection comes with a marriage. So a lot of women, you know, this goes back to women tend to have lower standards earlier in life. When I say early in life, I'm talking about late teens, early 20s. They just accept way too much, and they don't know what to look for. But this is, again, where fathers are supposed to be taking control and guiding our daughters to the good men, to men who lead with character, right? It is only after they've dealt with this this small percentage of ain't shit dudes that then their requirements, right? They skyrocket, and all of a sudden everybody wants a high value man. But you go from one extreme to the other. You miss out on a whole bunch of great guys. So I think the solution here, because this relates to protection. Average men have no problem protecting you. We don't. But that's going to come with some strings, because you cannot expect a man to be willing to die for you just for nothing. And I know what the ladies say, well, I'm not asking you to die for you. Well, you kind of are, because situations can go left real easy. I mean, and you want a man to step up and speak up for you, and keep those negative comments down. Because essentially that's what she's talking about. And I'm guessing she made some kind of social media post and got a bunch of negative comments. Well, hey, we're not going to make excuses for that, because it's the internet, like they said. The other part of that is that, well, you know what? We'll save that for another video. The point here is the protection. I guarantee you this topic is going to come up again, because this is an important thing for women, and we have to address it. So we need to hold men accountable? Absolutely. Stop going out of your way to talk to downgrade black women. That does annoy me, but there's only so much as one black man can do, because the reality is that if these things are warranted, you can't stop people from talking about them. Especially now, if they're untrue, then yeah, we can defeat that with stats, data, and statistics. But if they are true, then at some point it's going to be up to women to hold each other accountable and to self-improve, so that these things become less of an issue. Men had to do this again with that whole going to prison thing. We had to get better, and we've done that. Is there still room for improvement? Absolutely, because no man is walking around calling himself a 10. But look, we're going to leave it here, because that leads down the rabbit hole, and we're not trying to go there. Today's episode was about protection. I agree that we do need protection. We do need to do a better job of protecting our women, but that comes with something, though. It just is what it is. But hey, I'm going to say it goes to the next time. Peace. Thanks for making it to the end of this video. But do me another favor, like and subscribe, but also check out these here. Either subscribe or watch videos, one or the other. I don't know which side, but hey, all right. Mike here, Money, Marriage, and Media, and today we with the guys again with Daily Wrap-Up Crew. The question is, can men avoid being with a woman like your mother? Now, this is part of the gender war, but it's subcontext. What I mean by that is that there's a narrative out here. It's not very popular, but that women or men want the women. They don't want wives. They want mothers. It's funny how no one is there. I every now and then I come across this topic, so it needs to be addressed, because if we address things when they're small enough, it's easier to change the narrative on that, because that's not the case. And it literally, whenever you hear women say that, they never talk about how they're looking for a man. Most of the women say that they're looking for a man to provide 100% for them, and they don't have to work. And then the argument is literally, okay, well, how is that different from you looking for your father? Then they never have an answer for that, though. It's always funny to me. It's like, okay, well, oh no, that's not true. So, see what happens when you use female logic back on them. All of a sudden, then that doesn't make sense. It's not true. But let's go ahead.
Can that be something men avoid? Because growing up with a mother who was very, if she was a single mother, you're saying she might have masculine traits. Mm-hmm. Is that some reason why you think maybe some men might date outside the race, because they grew up with a woman who was masculine and they got nothing but pushback and headaches, and so now when they do decide to date outside the race, these women are more family oriented, just like you said. Maybe men outside their race might be more family. Black men can say the same thing. Maybe these women are more family oriented. They know how to treat a man. They're not worried about I don't need a man. They definitely don't got I don't need a
Okay, he took that in a different direction. I was not expecting that. I haven't seen this, so wow. He has a point though. That's he's making a valid statement. Is it true? I don't know. Let's find out.
The man mentality. You get what I'm saying? So is it safe to say maybe that some men, because of the experiences that they have with their mother, are looking for someone who's not like their mother, like at the end of the day? Like,
I think the mistake black men make is they love to think black women and white women are the same, and we're not. Like, I really don't think we are.
He literally just said, "Oh, we're looking for someone different from our mother," and he's just he just confirmed what he just said. Like, I don't think she was listening. Who knows? Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she'll be able to tie it together. Let's see what she says.
Because black
men
women
think that?
Yeah, they will literally compare us when there's nothing to. You can't compare us because we don't go through the same thing. We're not the same. Like, black woman and white woman do not go through the same thing in America for us to move the same.
You can still compare non-black women to black women.
A white woman to a black woman?
Just non-black women in general.
Yeah, comparing,
Yeah,
but
comparing,
not saying they're the same.
Yeah, we're not saying that.
No, but if you
but
if you comparing, you putting them on the same level, right?
yeah, but just saying they didn't go through the same things that we've gone
Yeah,
through.
so they're going to be different, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's still a
but used to
comparison.
comparing. Yeah.
Okay, but
They don't have to have
So
similarities.
you saying that we can't compare them because y'all ain't go through
Semantics.
the same thing. That's what you're saying.
yeah, because y'all will project like that. You want us to be like the white women who are submissive, but it's like you can't expect us to do that because we live in a world where black women can never be soft. We can't do that. We have to be strong all the time. We have to be independent.
That's where you're wrong.
But that's why I think you're wrong.
No, we
Because
don't.
in the
We're the
world-
most criticized and the most unprotected. We
That's
have to
outside
be
the
in the
world.
world by
Outside-
yourself. Yeah,
Yes.
you could be that. But when you at home,
Yeah,
check
I
them at the
agree.
door.
When we at home, yeah, but that's when I said the contradiction.
But that's the thing, though. Like, I think
What?
the black community, like, as it pertains to females, we run away from submission. The word submission, we don't like.
Y'all scared of it. I don't know what the
And I
fuck.
understand because we have been given a lot of challenges, but submission is a beautiful thing when you have a leader in the house. Submission, I can't wait until I find that man who I can submit to, who I can look up to and say, yes, you are leading me and you're taking me to the right place. I don't have to be Miss Independent anymore. I don't have to be this strong masculine woman anymore because I can lean in on you. I can, relax in you. So I think that we should really change the narration as it pertains to submission. Submission is a beautiful thing. I don't know why a lot of black I don't want to use statistics.
I gotta go through.
I understand, but submission is still, don't say I won't submit, I don't want to submit. Say when I find the right man. When I find the leader, I'm
But
going
a
to
lot of the
submit.
time,
Heard this one before too. And then when you ask them what their requirements are, yeah. So it's it's a roundabout way of saying that I'm not gonna submit. I'm never going to compromise. So, I mean, it sounds good, like I said, but if you're vetting, ask them more questions.
a lot of the time, these women don't come across a man they could submit to.
Right.
Because they be
That's
looking
easy
for
work.
women like their mothers. Like I said, they be looking for women who's gonna.
That's like me
tap into
saying I ain't
masculine
found the right
energy.
woman to be faithful to. Like,
That's
come
it,
on.
right? Why
But y'all
can't
do
we
say
should
that
be
though.
submissive.
A lot of men
What
do
should
say
be?
that.
But I
But
think
why
they
would
have-
I be submissive? Like, okay, why would I be submissive to a man like who, for example, is not teaching me anything, has no ambition? Like, why would I be submissive to that?
Why you dealing with him in the first?
Mm-hmm. How does that man got that opportunity?
And
That's
you keep saying that somebody looking for you to protect them. Like, who's looking for you?
No, because
That's
like a lot.
interesting, like-
No, it's
She just showed her hand. The men that she wants don't want her. That's why she's saying that. Why should I be submissive to these guys as if those are the only guys in the world? No, I mean, I'm starting to think that when women talk like that, it's because the men that they want are not interested in them. There's plenty of guys out here. Like I said, over 50% of black men are single and childless. and in the middle class too. But whenever we have these conversations, if you notice, the focus is always on the extreme. Is that there ain't no man, I haven't found a man that I can submit to. Okay, well, what kind of man are you looking for? That's the key follow-up question. When I said before about ask more questions, that's the key to question right there that will illuminate what's really going on here. And a lot of times you find out that's when they start talking about the extreme standards, and it's like, okay, well, you just eliminated 95% of men. It's like, you don't think that's, I mean, yeah, it doesn't sound a little bit unrealistic to you, but women want what they want. We can't shame them for that, but we also can't say, they get just you got the results that you're getting.
I mean, yeah, I'm not saying like all men are like that, but there are a lot of men who literally are looking for like low-key a sugar mama.
True.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, I come across that a lot. Men who
See, again, what are you leading with that you're attracting those guys? The men that you want, why are they not approaching you? Something's going on with you. If she'd have told me that it's a few guys, okay, then I can believe that. But the picture she's painting is that it's every guy. Okay, well then look, at some point you need to be holding up a mirror and looking in it, because these men, we are out here, average men, hardworking men of character. There's plenty of us out here. But again, if you're only attracting the bottom, low quality men, what is it about you that's attracting those guys?
who are looking for me to take care of them. No, it's not like that.
And
like
you have some black men also, they want successful women because they don't want to give them anything.
Exactly. They just want to use them.
Yep.
Yes.
What? People are opportunists. If you're going to give it to me, I'm going to take it. That's everybody.
Yeah, I guess it's okay when women do that to men, but
Yeah.
but what I do want to say also real quick is that, you know, I love black.
Again, you lead with your wallet, your career, your education. What type of man do you think you're finna attract? This is why this is why men say that women are being very masculine, because you're leading like you want to be the provider. So men who are, that's what you're going to attract. Men who want the woman to be the provider, because that's what you're leading with.
Black women, everybody on this panel, me, Jew, King, we love black women. You know, we love, black women in a natural state. You know what I'm saying? And even through lately, not even lately, just my whole life, I've been hearing nothing but hatred, vitriol, disdain for black men coming from our own women, right? But even with that being said, I heard black women say we should abort black male babies. This is black women, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've heard black women say some of the craziest, most hateful, ugliest things towards.
And there's a whole YouTube channel devoted to that. No, we're not going to cover it. So please don't ask. Stay away from that stuff.
Black men. And even with that being said, me personally, and obviously we're different, I would never go on a platform and publicly say, I'm going to date outside. I love black women. I don't care how much y'all might hate us or whatever the case is. I'm gonna fight for the black woman because I want to be with one. So I would never put myself in a situation to be like, you know what? Hey world, I'm officially dating outside my race, because to me, I want to be with. I don't care how much y'all might hate us or y'all might say we thugs or we cheat.
I'm gonna find one for me. My right one.
Yeah, I'm gonna find me the right one. So when I hear black women say that, and I understand your experiences, because I'm not going to invalidate your experiences, but it does irk me. I do feel some type of way when I hear black women say that, because even through all of the things that we have to constantly hear from black women, I would never turn my back on black women. Like, you get what I'm saying? So even when black men do the same thing, like, you know what I mean, I would hold them accountable as well. So if you're dating outside your race and it's just genuinely love, that's cool. But a lot of times I don't think it's genuinely love, because a lot of times y'all already putting these white men on a pedestal. So you already understand the social status in the world. You understand most likely the financial status in the world. So they're coming in with an advantage most times, I think, because y'all really ain't dating no broke ass like dude from Williamsburg riding the city bike with 8 roommates. Y'all not going for that type of dude. And sometimes even when y'all do, I sit back and look back at y'all. I'm like, well, y'all put black men into a box, but then you going out and dating a Chad who don't got a backbone. He not no masculine ass dude. He do look like a chump. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Because they get to be the masculine one.
Yeah. So again, sometimes some black women.
Eli is on fire right now. He's man. I haven't said anything because I don't disagree with him. You know. Now now this is a one-sided argument. I can admit that, right? Because we're still talking about that's a small percentage of women. You talking about the ones that are actually getting married, like that he's talking about. That's what 3% of all of 22 million women. Come on, man.
Put black men into a box, and I'm just speaking on my experience. I'm not saying all. Some black women put black men in a box. They got to be 6 feet. They got to be super masculine, aggressive, a thug, hood, tattoos, this, that, and the third. So sometimes some black men feel like, all right, well, my own women are already talking shit about me all the time. They already hate me. It seems like I don't fit into the stereotypical box. But then when y'all go date outside your race, y'all don't even have no boxes for them. They just some regular, you know what I mean?
You
regular
can say
Joe
the same
Smo.
about men too.
No, that's fair.
But I'll say, like, I do know a lot of
can.
black women do that. I personally don't put black men in a box or sit here and like
Okay, it's not a lot. I don't care what she says. The data says differently. Blackdemographics.com, people. That's why I go back there so much. It's the same thing with men. You're talking about like less than 15% of all men. That's all black men that are dating out. Come on, man. What are we talking about here? It's talking about exceptions. Exceptions don't make the rule. Most black people pair up with other black people.
like be like, oh, I'm a date Chad without a job, but you know, a black man, he has to have a job card. No, I don't do that. I put everybody on an equal spectrum. So like, it's standard.
But didn't she just say that you can't compare the two? So you can compare them as long as it's the men that are being compared. The women, you can't do that. Okay. Right.
Standards at the end of the day, like I have the same standards for everybody. And for me personally, I think a lot of women who go to date outside of their race, they just feel like dating black men exclusively, they're gonna be single for a while looking for a black man who's not colorist, texturist, and features, because there's so many. And I know a lot of people are like, okay, you're gonna run into a white man who won't date you because you're black, but truthfully, I feel like it's an equal chance of me running into a white man who won't date me because I'm a black woman, as there is me running into a black man who won't date me because I'm dark skinned, or a black man who will date me because I'm an experiment, or won't date me because I have 4C hair. And I stand by that. Like, genuinely, I think it's an equal chance.
That's an equal chance.
It's I genuinely think it's an equal
What
chance.
percentage of white men you think are looking to seriously date a black woman?
Because I got the stats. I got the stats.
What percentage you think it
Pull
is?
the
man?
stats.
I just
really
want
don't
to know because you think it's an equal chance. So I just want to know what percentage you think that is.
I really don't know, but I think it's an equal
Ballpark
chance.
it. Ballpark it.
Ballpark.
Yeah, ballpark it. 10,
1,
15. What you think it is?
I don't know. I'll say maybe like 25.
20.
Facts, data, and statistics. This is why it's so important, right? Because arguments like this get broken down and we need to remove them from the conversation altogether. She's sitting here talking about, well, it's an equal chance. Not if you're trying to get married.
Okay, all right.
Wow, that's too big.
I'm gonna let you
think
know
that's
right now. It's less than 1% of non-black men marry. We're not talking about dating. We're talking about married black women. You get what I'm saying? Most men are race loyal. They want children that looks like them. You know what I mean? So when we going around, and I understand your experience, and I appreciate you expressing it. But we can't sit there and say that most men prefer to date women that look like them. You get what I'm saying? So when we going out, like, well, I gotta go get me a Chad girl, like, oh, I gotta go get me a Jose or whatever the case is. Like, they typically do stick to their own women. You get what I'm saying? So, and another thing I do want to mention, black women, y'all won't compete for a black man, but when it's Chad and Brad and these other dudes, y'all out there because y'all know they the most desirable. So y'all got no problem shooting y'all shot. Y'all got no problem showing what y'all could bring to the table to them.
They,
you know what I mean?
hollering at them. They say,
like,
he
so
got nice eyes.
Y'all be going.
Okay, all right. So look, this took an unexpected turn. I thought we were going to be talking about the parental expectations on men and women. That's not what this was about. So clearly, this is I'm gonna have to retitle this one, right? But what did we learn here? Well, we learned that there are different perspectives as far as men and women go, as far as expectations. We also learned how to cut through some BS that people say just for the camera. Is that I haven't found the right guy to submit to. Okay, well, where are you looking? What are your standards? It's the same thing. Women, I'm gonna go ahead and give you some game on two of y'all that are watching. I haven't found the right girl to commit to. Okay, well, what are your standards and what are you looking for? Well, she got to be a virgin. You're an average guy and you looking for a virgin. Her body count got to be 1. Okay, hey, good luck with that, man. Yeah. Well, I don't know if I want to get married. Again, ladies, stop wasting time on guys who don't want to get married. Guys who are not ready to get married, if you are, then you're wasting your time. It doesn't take that long to vet a woman, particularly the older you get. Because why? Because you get better at the vetting process. So I wouldn't, a year, I wouldn't go past that. But we're going to end it here. And I'm going to say goes to the next time. Peace. Thanks for making it to the end of this video. But do me another favor, like and subscribe, but also check out these here. Either subscribe or watch videos, one or the other. I don't know which side, but hey, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Mike here, Money, Marriage, and Media, and today we're looking at unsolicited security boss. Now, this lady is, this woman and her husband, mind you, that's the most important part, right? They run a show. She runs a live show. I would say at least once a week. So go ahead and subscribe and subscribe to her channel and like her videos, right? Because we need more married people putting out content. So when they're doing it, we need to support it 100%, right? So Security Boss is on a panel for this one. Oh, the topic, do men negotiate away respect from women? If I'm not mistaken, I don't know if this is Security Boss's channel or not, but we're going to look at it. So let's go.
Hey, real quick, just actionable items. What would be a way that you think men could get that respect back, if it's even possible?
How men could get that back? We just need to see more examples. That's what it is. It's a lot out here, but they don't get praised. Like we talk about all the time, the athletes getting the praise. The athletes not trying to be no leaders like that. They trying to get their money, get their family out the way, and move on. They're not trying to be no type of political power, nothing like that. So we just need more, just solid men, make that cool again. Like
100%. That's why I started a YouTube channel, right? Because we need more average men to step up and start speaking and representing our community. Too many times we're represented often by negative extremes. Y'all know what I'm talking about. The people he just named, right? Because again, we already know the data is in the nuclear families help propagate a society. You want to improve a community, improve families. That's just that you can't get around that. Or if you know another way to do it besides that, I'm all ears. Because yeah, this is but let's keep going though.
Like back in the day, men getting degrees, that was sexy. Like it's cool today, but it ain't pushed like everything else. The athletes is getting pushed. The guy that's sitting in the library studying, he not getting no attention until later on in life. So,
but that's the way it's always been, though. But again, this is where we can break the mold, because something like YouTube, where average people can start making content and putting it out to let that guy that's in the library studying by himself, dude, you're not by yourself. There's more of us out here.
Just being a solid individual, more solid men got to be pushed instead of the negative shit. And women too got to stop following these niggas. Stop having babies by these ain't shit niggas, because that's what it looks like. That's what you want. So the men gonna be ain't shit until they see that you have some standards. Like, why would I raise my standards, if you don't have respect for yourself? You know what I'm saying? So that's what it is.
Can I add to that?
Yeah,
So,
go ahead.
a way that men can get their value back along with their respect is just don't put up with the mess from the women. When women can't see their value or don't know their purpose, dismiss them. Don't even bother. Keep it moving.
Yeah.
Don't even.
This is why I say, men, we need to lead with character, because again, if your character is high, well, you're gonna be looking for somebody else. You're gonna be looking for a woman who has who's virtuous. And women who don't appear like that, you need to kick them to the curb. Go find you somebody else. I know it's not the popular thing to do, but the reality is that this is not a popularity contest. We got too much at stake here. We can't build a community, and we're sitting back and just letting any old thing fly by us. So, one of the man, this brings up the dime, right? Men, if you want ways to self-improve, right? Outside of the standard, just go make more money, which is there's some issues along with that, but we're not here to talk about that. The dime, right? Discipline, integrity, morals, and ethics. Start working on those. You can't go wrong with improving in those 4 categories, because again, this is how you weed out low quality women.
Even entertain the disrespect. And if you decide to, you put in place the plan. And if she can't follow the plan, you keep it moving.
Exactly.
See, men are entertaining
Great
this
advice.
crap. So they're giving their power away all the time, 50-50. Baby, because we got to have a bigger house. No, baby, you come in this 2-bedroom apartment until I say we move somewhere else. Oh, she don't want to do that? Well, you're not my wife.
100%. We talked about this before with MTR, mediocre tutorials and reviews. Guys, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do the money portion of the channel. That's why look, I know that playlist is not growing as fast as relationships, but frankly, it's because most of y'all ain't trying to watch this stuff anyway. But look, we're gonna leave a card in here right about now. Where we at? I need to mark that because of that video about expenses. Because when you keep okay, let me let her finish and then I'll come back.
Simple. But men, I think, kind of want that $500,000 house too. So they don't realize that it's just continuously taking their power away. It's the kings that they should be in marriage. So men got to decide, look, no, I'm putting my foot down. This is the plan. You don't like it? It's fine. But I got you. We'll get there. But that's not where we're at today. And I don't need your help to get me there.
Fan-freaking-tastic. I love it. So let me speak on this a little bit, okay? Because number one, the biggest problem right now is predominantly on the men for a minute. So the biggest problem right now is most guys don't have a plan at all. So you literally are just going by the seat of your pants and it's, well, whatever she want, then I'm gonna go with it. What that tells me, men like that, that's an insecurity, a genuine insecurity. Not when women just tell you, oh, he's insecure. No, this is genuine insecurity. You literally have a what do you call it? It's a popular YouTube term that applies to it applies to women. Is that you think you don't have any other options. So you're trying any and everything to make this one woman happy who's not a good fit for you anyway. So we got to get out of this mindset. What it literally says is that you think your value is lower than it actually is. So you're willing to stretch and bend for somebody that you shouldn't be. You're willing to tolerate things that you shouldn't. an abundance mindset. That's what it is. Guys tend not to have that. And I get it because it's hard to get the attention of women. But again, those 4 areas, right? We want to self-improve, focus on those 4 areas. I promise you, you're going to move up the list because it's okay. That's a whole nother topic, but just try focus on improving on those 4 areas. The rest of the stuff will come. So look, go check out Security Boss. We're going to have to review some more of her content because this lady is speaking the truth. And again, why are we looking at this? We want high-level conversations, particularly from married people, because we are underrepresented in our community on social media. We have put too much time, we've put too much money, energy, attention, and time into individuals who do not represent us. So yes, we need to create a new movement that says that, you know what, we want to improve our community. We need nuclear families. We need to start looking for some nuclear families, people who are married, to start supporting so that we can get more content out there to understand, so that people can start to understand that, if you're tired of complaining about the community, well, hey, we've got some examples set up here that this is how we're going to build it. We have a plan. So to tie that into what I was talking about before. But look, guys, this one wasn't that long, and Security Boss she made everything succinct, so I didn't have much to say about it. But look, I'm gonna say it goes to the next time. Peace. Thanks for making it to the end of this video. But do me another favor, like and subscribe, but also check out these here. Either subscribe or watch videos, one or the other. I don't know which side, but hey, all right. Y'all know who I am. You know what we do. And this time, let's see. Yeah, this is where we're at. We're back again, and we're about to jump right in. That's all the introduction we need. Let's go.
I think if a man is in his traditional role, like they mostly want to be, if he's doing everything he's supposed to do in that role, a woman is not a wife, is not going to mind cooking and cleaning because that's her particular, role in that marriage. She's not going to mind it. It's not saying that he won't come in and help, but she wouldn't mind that at all because he's totally taking care of everything that he's supposed to do. And she's not going to look for him to come and help with the things that she's supposed to do. Traditionally, isn't what I'm talking about. She's not going to look for it. It's going to be like, understood. Okay, I got the nurturing, I got the cooking, I got the cleaning. But guess what? He's doing the heavy lifting. He's doing all the heavy lifting. So it's just going to be understood. I'm not going to ask him to come in here and sweep the floor because I cooked. It's not going to be something. Now, if he comes in and just sweep the floor because he feels like it, that's, a plus, which I know good husbands would. But it's not going to be an expectation.
But that's where we have to redefine traditional, like B. Taylor was saying, because like the households that are like that, I don't know what the statistics are, but if I had to guess, it's less than 20% of America. Most marriages and most households, both people are working. And there's this polarizing place where it's like.
She's right. It's about between 20 and 30%, if I remember correctly. It's been so long since I looked at that stat, and yeah.
You're free and you don't have a man, you don't need a man, or you're a wife and he does everything and you cook and clean, when there's not enough conversation about how we manage. The both of us go outside and work. The both of us have to help with these kids. The both of us have seasons in which we're able to do certain things because we both have to contribute here. And so there's not enough conversation about that conflict resolution in order to work through that, when that is how most people are living. All people.
Okay, she has a point, but again, that's why we're here, right? That's why this channel exists, because we need more average people, more average married people to start speaking up and talking about these things, so we can start peeling back the layers. Because again, I agree with her 100% that is the narrative out there, that if you're married, then your husband does everything. He works, he makes all the money, and then the wife just takes care of the home. The majority of relationships, majority of marriages don't work like that. I've said this before, is that whatever the roles are, we can't complain about that. Whatever they are going to be, you need to work that out in advance, because again, we're at the bottom with most stats concerning families. So we can't be picky about, well, I want a relationship like this. Okay, no. If find you somebody who your principles, your morals and values are similar, and then you guys need to work it out, figure out what the roles are going to be. Things are too much is at stake, especially concerning the future of our kids, for us to be trying to find perfection. That's not working out. And that's what's going on today. We got to get better. We need more examples of different types of marriages that work.
For hearing is one of the polarizing sides, and they have a warped sense of view on what it's supposed to look like.
You don't
redefine. You don't redefine the traditional. You're supposed to be within that plan. See, what happens is the woman's the one most of this wants to redefine the traditional. I'm not saying don't work, but whatever your husband has his plan for you to work in that traditional lineup or in that traditional order is what you do. It don't supersede that. It doesn't. You don't have to have that corporate job.
How many men are actually able to do that and provide
I know a lot of
working
men.
job for their wife?
And see, again, this goes back to what I was telling you guys when we had that conversation about black male image. She's still operating on that old philosophy that most black men are broke, when the majority of us are in the middle class. So yes, he can afford. Okay, let's keep going, because I may be going off topic here.
Because statistically speaking, a lot of households right now,
I know a lot of men
I
who
think the median income for in America right now is 65,000. I was given those stats.
Nah, that's not right.
But see,
not
the
too
thing
long
is,
ago, and I think a lot of people need two incomes to provide for their household. So if the woman is working and the man is working, you can't sit here and tout and say, "Oh, I want traditional," but you're not providing any. You need your wife to work. You need your wife to.
Okay, we got to get past this thing about tradition. I mean, I was with Kayla, and that we need more examples. But B. Taylor is going off on a tangent because she's just confirming what Kayla just talked about. She's talking about that extreme relationship where the man makes all the money and the woman doesn't work. No, both parties work today. We can admit that, but that doesn't mean that you can't have a traditional relationship. So she's arguing in extremes, and those arguments never work out. Not in reality. It may work on a panel with people on YouTube, but when you get to real life, it doesn't work like that.
To work to pay those bills.
no, absolutely, you don't. Because if you married a man that has average income and he can only afford a 1-bedroom house, that's where you live until he gets to the point where he can afford a 2-bedroom house. If that's not the man for you, then you don't marry that.
So if I'm already working.
Did she finish her point? Because she was actually getting to something there. You know, we've talked about that before, about keeping your expenses down. This is where I've talked about this before too, is that this goes back to the what are men looking for in women, because we don't like the strong and independent type. Well, I make a lot of money, and women constantly flex their income to you, their job, their career. To most men, it's a turnoff. We don't need you to be like uber successful. We do want you to be able to take care of yourself. And again, this is where that comes into play, because if I can take care of myself and you can take care of yourself, then us coming together, there shouldn't be a struggle, because again, we've lowered our expenses to the point where we should actually be saving money now. But that's only if you're living, if you're doing what Security Boss just said. You're not living above your means, not living in excess.
No. Hold on. Because a lot of men.
I'm supposed to stop working.
A lot of men who don't want that either. They don't want to live in a 1-bedroom house.
Okay, well then they don't want traditional.
If you bring in this amount and I bring in this amount,
I started to get somewhere with a point.
Because if your husband,
we're gonna go back. I'm gonna reset something because I need to see something real quick.
if you married a man that has average income and he can only afford a 1-bedroom house, that's where you live until he gets to the point where he can afford a 2-bedroom house. See
Queen Sheba shaking her head up there? Okay. I guess she has a difference of opinion. You know what? Let's keep going.
If that's not the man for you, then you
A
don't
lot of
marry
men are
that.
not wanting
So if
that.
And they just confirmed, I thought I saw this before, is that I don't think she was done talking. I think she was starting to prove a point, and I think that B. Taylor, I don't think she's interested in hearing the answer, because again, security boss is giving you an example. The same type of thing that Kayla was asking about before, about more examples about not living in the extremes. Well, she's giving the answer, right? And security boss is giving an answer that's not in the extremes. And it looks like they're just cutting her off because they don't like what it sounds like. Which makes it seem like there are some closed minds on this panel. You know, one of the things I praise Security Boss about on her channel is that because her and her husband, they work together. They're an older couple, and a lot of the times they're discussing current issues. And the goal of her channel, I think, is to promote marriage. But when you're presented with a situation where you're talking about a certain type of relationship, and then people are giving you instant pushback before you can even finish, I don't know. Maybe I'm off. The optics on that, just to me, they don't look good. So I don't know.
Already working.
No, hold on, because a lot of men.
I'm supposed to stop.
Yeah, she didn't finish because she just said, "Hold on, let me finish." They just cut her off because they didn't like the first part of what she said without even letting her finish. This is why I'm not rushing to get on any of these panels because of stuff like this. It's like we can't have high level conversations. Don't happen when everybody's trying to talk over each other. They don't. Which begs the question, is there any benefit to participating in a conversation like that? Y'all have to decide that. I don't know.
Stop working.
A lot of men who don't want that either. They don't want to live in a one-bedroom house.
Okay, well then they don't want
You know what,
traditional.
if you bring in this amount and I bring in this amount, we could live somewhere decent and not have to worry about our car being broken into. We don't have to worry about security. We can come home. Your place of home is where your peace is supposed to be. So when you're out there fighting the world,
there's that term again. Your peace is supposed to be. I think maybe I'm undecided right now, but I'm thinking about doing a video with these overused phrases and terms that people, if you start breaking down the context in which they use it in, I question whether or not the people know what that means. What am I talking about? Because again, go back to what I said before. If you're able to support yourself and I'm able to support myself, then why are we living in a trash neighborhood? What were you living at before? I mean, at bare minimum, you should be able to maintain the lifestyle that you were leading before, right? So, again, this is starting to look like I'm just arguing just to argue, because I'm having trouble following along where this is supposed to be going. I think, like I said before, I think Security Boss is making a great point, but I don't know. Let's keep going.
and you come drop your bags at the door, your home is supposed to feel like home. That's your safety place. And ideally, as that sound, men, if they know their woman is bringing in a certain amount of income, they're going to be like, okay, with my income and your income, we could live here instead of just my income by itself.
But that's not
Especially if you
traditional.
have skills where you
If
can
your
earn.
if your husband is requiring you to bring in a certain amount of income in order for you all to live, that is no longer traditional. He has now created a partnership within marriage, which some people live in. It is quite all right, but that's not traditional. We shouldn't use the word traditional
I
for
didn't say
that.
traditional.
No,
I
I'm
said that a lot
saying.
of, okay.
No, I'm just saying we shouldn't use traditional for that. That is what you call a partnership, and
Yeah.
that's what men are complaining about. That's what men are saying, that women are out of their role, because in that you now have a larger voice and you want to say what happens when my money is doing this. Now, if you did that and you came home and put all the money in one pot, maybe he could work well with it. But if you're calling the shots over the money that you're making, that is truly a partnership. It is not a traditional marriage. And most men, when I hear them speak, they want more of a traditional marriage. But again,
They can't
you would
afford
have
it.
to live in his community.
They can't not afford it.
They want.
Again, it's trying to reinforce that stereotype that men are broke, and then again, y'all pay attention to what's going on here. They're trying to reinforce that negative image of, in this case, probably the black male, right? Well, he can't afford that, but he was doing fine by himself before, though, right? Because we're not trying to date men who can't support themselves. So again, you know, I think Security Boss put up an excellent, she put forth an excellent example, and there's a good chance that I'm probably going to be referencing this in future videos, because we need more examples of variations of marriage and the way things work. I don't necessarily, you know what? I agree with her. That is the example that she gave is a traditional relationship. She even put forth another example to where the woman is making more than the man. And she did preference it as a marriage, and they're putting everything in one pot. And then, you know, she didn't get to go into detail, but I'm assuming they have to work out where the money is going to be going. In her example, it's probably going to be the man working that out, just because she's a firm believer that men should lead. So that we got basically two examples of different types of marriage. We need more of that, right? This is why I say, guys, go subscribe to her channel, because we need more information about different ways of making a marriage work. Because right now, the narrative is that, especially in our community, again, we're the least married. And if you ask most people, it's for good reason. Because we have an image problem when it comes to relationships. We got to change that. And the only way to change it is number one, we need the data more readily available. And number two, we need to see the successful relationships. We need to see more of them. So if we're putting forth the image that marriage does work when it's backed up by data and statistics, that's how you change perception. So look, guys, this is almost done. I don't really want to hear anymore, because I think, like I said, I think this is, look, I don't know what's going on this panel. It's hard to say from a clip. Maybe there was something we missed beforehand, but like I said, I like the examples that Security Boss put forth. So, yeah, we're going to end it here, and I'm going to say goes to the next time. Peace. Thanks for making it to the end of this video, but do me another favor, like and subscribe, but also check out these here. Either subscribe or watch videos, one or the other. I don't know which side, but hey, all right. Mike here, Money, Marriage, and Media, and today we're looking at 8 at the Table. I can't remember if we've done an introduction for 8 at the Table or not, but you guys will know by the time I post this. It'll say it in the title. What we have here is, I'm not sure whose channel this is, but they have different guests. Some of them are returning, and you get different opinions about dating and relationships. There might be some other things in here, but this is what we're looking at today. So the title is Being Married versus Dating. She wants to know the truth about waiting for a proposal. So this should be good. Let's go ahead and see what we got. And yeah.
Court me for marriage. You're not going to court me to date me and put me on a shelf for years.
But that's what women
until you figure out what you want to do. And this is why a lot of women are still unmarried. And like, what do you want to
Facts. Yeah, it is.
do? What do you want to do? No, like, we've dating. You're going to get to know me. Then you're going to start courting me, and you show me that you want me to be a part of your life. You want to marry me. Then you need to marry me. But courting has a time frame. It's not 5 years. I don't care what he's telling you, sis. It's not 5 years. He knows in 5 years if he wants to or not. And he more than likely.
Ladies, if you've been with a man for 5 years and he hadn't married you yet, he's not going to. Either number one, he doesn't want to get married and he's just stringing you along for continuous sex, or two, he's indecisive. Most women don't want to marry an indecisive man. So usually it's the first one, particularly if, again, if you're a woman and you're seeking marriage, how much time do you want to waste on a man who is not? The reality is that this is what we have to have that, for situations like this is what we need to have that conversation about lowering your standards. Because if you're with a guy, you've been with him for years and he's not married, right? But he's got all the qualities that you're looking for. I hate to say it, but you don't measure up to the type of woman that he is willing to marry, because clearly he hasn't done it yet. So you're going to have to lower your standards if marriage is important to you. If it's not, then hey, go rock out. Don't have no kids though. We don't do that. We putting a stop to that now. Marriage comes first. So yeah.
He doesn't. That's just what I think.
Boyfriend and girlfriend. All right, guys, that sounds.
You're gonna be a forever girlfriend, unless you guilt
sounds
trip
good,
him
but
into it.
but y'all speaking from a certain woman's standpoint. As a man, the reason why the rules have changed because women have changed, right? So the men are now going by the women's rules. So in order for a woman to even allow a man to quote unquote court them, he needs to be showing and demonstrating the acts of courting them before he's even allowed to court them for marriage in this day and age, right? I gotta show you that I can take you to Ruth Chris every Friday if you want. I gotta show you that I have whatever, penthouse or good luxury.
This is a false narrative. Again, he's speaking, it sounds like he's speaking from an above average standpoint. He talks like a higher earner, and that's fine if that's who you are. But again, this channel is about average people, average men, average women. As an average man, I'm not looking to take you on a date to Ruth Chris, and that's not a special occasion. I'm not going to do it. If that's the type of man you're looking for, then you go play in that ballpark. Again, I'm not here to have the high value conversation, but that sounds like that's what he's leaning towards. If that's what you want, fine, go somewhere else. This channel's not about high value men.
Living that I may have. I got to show you that I have a certain stability within my home, and I got to demonstrate that with you. I got to go ahead and open the door and buy you these roses, right? Which realistically, all of those gestures and those acts that I had to do in the initial.
Okay, now he's conflating two things, and he just moved the goalpost. The first thing they were talking about was I got to take you to this fancy. Ruth Chris is a steakhouse, for those of you who don't know. I have to be able to take you to this steakhouse. But then he's talking about opening the door. If you're a man, I don't care what your income level is, you should be able to afford it. You can open the door for a woman. Now, chivalry is, I agree that, chivalry must be earned. But that opening the door, I don't consider that chivalry. I just consider that common courtesy. If I come through the door before you, I should hold it open for you. That doesn't just apply to men holding the door for women. Dude, I was at the gas station last night. The guy held the door open for me. I said, appreciate it. Thank you. That's so basic though. And I think he's doing that to try. I can't say for sure, but it's almost like he's trying to build a gotcha moment. High level conversations don't happen from that. If all you looking for is the gotcha moment, so let's start, because realistically, a lot of times what I do is review content from an average perspective. If you feel like the conversation is leaning toward everybody's just trying to get that gotcha moment, dude, go watch something else, man, because they're not about high level conversations. And a lot of times, well, just from my experience, a lot of times when that's happening, people are just looking for the viral moment. That's not what we're about over here. If one of my videos gets popular, I hope it will be because of the content and it's helping improve you guys' relationships, not just because somebody looks embarrassed or, you know. Yeah, nah. Let's keep going. Hopefully this is going to get better.
Initial dating aspect then follows by, like, is expected to continue throughout the actual relationship. So that's why the game has flipped. Because before it was like, if I could date you and be like, yo, I take you on one date and I don't call you back and it wasn't a game changer, then that would be cool. Right. But now if I take you on date and I don't call you back and I don't take you on another date, it's over. I don't even get a second chance. So we don't even get, like...
Do you want a second chance? Because if you did, then why didn't you call me back?
Yo, do women think the world revolves around them? Like, men be really busy, okay? I didn't call you back because I'm working.
Yeah, but
I didn't call you back.
Wait.
You didn't say I didn't call you back the next day. You said I didn't call you back, period.
No, I did say the next day.
No, he didn't. But again, this is what's going on here is that I think he's in defense mode because what Kayla has said before triggered him, and he started going on a rant, and he wasn't paying attention to what he says. Now, don't get me wrong. I've seen this guy. His name is Rico. I've seen him give some great advice, or I've seen him participate in high-level conversations. But that stuff that he was just saying before, nah, that wasn't it. So. And again, she's pointed out that you didn't say that. You didn't say call her back the next day, and he didn't. But to his defense, I will say that, yeah, the world does not revolve around you. Just because that guy didn't initially call you back doesn't mean he's not going to. Now, does that mean you need to sit by the phone and wait for him to call you? No. That's just ridiculous. You know, life goes on.
That you just heard what you wanted to hear.
No.
This is
roll the tape.
We can roll it.
Okay, so
we can roll
after how many dates? After how many dates does this courtship?
To me, after 4 dates.
After 4, I think 4 is an appropriate number as well.
Because like you vibing with the person or not. Like date 1 is not.
That's true. That's true. Now, a lot of times what doesn't get talked about whenever people talking about these dates, because you see this the same thing when people start talking about, third date, time for sex. The thing that doesn't get talked about is what's happening in between those dates. You know, third date, yeah, there should be some kind of activities going on, right? Because I'm not going to take you on 3 dates and no. And then women will say, well, no, that's too soon. Okay, but understand again, what's the part that's not being discussed? What's happening in between those dates? For me personally, it's going to be a whole bunch of phone conversations going on. Phone conversations, FaceTimes. We're going to know each other a lot by the third date. And believe me, ladies, when I tell you that, number one, I wasn't going to take you on the third date if I wasn't interested in you sexually. Or if I wasn't interested well, number one, I'm gonna be interested in commitment before that. That's why and if I don't see myself being committed to you long term, we're not going on third date anyway. I'm gonna move on to somebody else. But stop accepting dates from men that you don't see as long-term options. Plain and simple. You know that by the second date. If he's a good candidate for marriage, if you're marriage minded, you want to get married, you know he's a potential candidate by the second date. Why? Because again, what happens in between the dates? There should be a whole lot of conversation going on there. See, a lot of times we say dating is to get to know people. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because you can get to know somebody over the phone, as you should. You get to know somebody over FaceTime. The dates are for us. The number one reason for a date is to observe how that person behaves in public. It is. Because I'm going to say you should have several phone conversations before you go on the date. Because you should know somebody before you go on a date. Anybody that's trying to do you different like that, they don't respect you. They don't. Because why is a guy going to invest his meat in you? His money, energy, attention, and time. Shout out to Coach Greg Adams. That was a great analogy that you used. This was happening months ago, but still, his meat. Why is he going to invest those things in you, or invest those things into a woman that he doesn't know? Again, that limited. There's a finite amount of resources out here. So why is a guy going to invest the little bit that he has in you, and he doesn't know you? He doesn't trust you. That doesn't make sense. Let's keep going.
Not courtship is when, like, all that
I tell y'all
those pleasantries.
something, I ain't courting nothing I ain't hit. Promise you that.
Absolutely not. Do
Date
not do
1 through 4, we better have hit. Once I hit, then I court.
Don't do
I'm
it.
not court.
Then you courting starting date 5.
No, I court start date 2. First of all,
Do you know her in date 2?
I better. If not, should she go?
Because you just said you're very busy to even call her back. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming y'all not having late night.
I said the next day.
About her childhood.
Kayla.
So do you know her?
Kayla, you have.
Okay, facts. This is the now. Again, nobody talks about this though. But again, ladies, if you're going on a date consistently with a guy, you've been on a date hanging out with a guy 3-4 days straight. When does that guy go to work? Like, seriously. Like, who does that? Nobody can consistently go on dates like that. It may take him a while to work you into his schedule, particularly if he is of an age, if he doesn't have if he's not married and doesn't have any kids, then he should be working he should be working more than 40 hours a week. 50 minimum. And that means that he's going to be busy. So you guys might not make it to they're talking about the 4th date. That might not be until into the 2nd month, maybe even the 3rd of you dating. Why? Because he has to work. Don't marry a man who doesn't know how to work hard. If he only got one job and he working 35 hours a week. We already had discussion about average income on this channel. Even the average, okay, well, you have to judge that for yourself. But I wouldn't invest at my daughters, I'm gonna tell them, you don't invest in time. Don't invest in a man who has a lot of free time. He got time to take you on multiple dates, and because most of the time those guys are really just after one thing anyway. Because he's not trying to build a life for himself. He's just more concerned about taking you out and getting to know you for sex. Just being honest.
Years.
I'm feeling like you don't know her.
Kayla, I said the next day very clearly.
The next day.
Yeah, call her back the next day.
Called her back the next day.
Yeah, but if I call her back the day after that, you know what I'm saying? First of all, it should take a man about 7 days to.
Me the next morning.
7 days?
No, first of all, you didn't even listen to me. You just ran.
It should take the man 7 days to
Get on the first date, right? So I should know you a little bit. First of all, any man who's paying money and going on an extravagant date and he don't know the girl is a fool, and you really shouldn't trust him because he's just obviously not that smart.
Or he's just trying to have sex with you. So he's hoping to impress you with all these experiences to wear you down for sex. So he wants to have sex as quickly as possible. That's what that is. Just some game for the ladies, all 2 of you that are watching this channel, right? But yeah, that's usually what that is. A man doesn't take the time to get to know you. Again, you don't need to go on dates to get to know somebody. So if a man's just immediately trying to take you out on a date to supposedly get to know you, yeah.
You're not as special as you think you are, in a very humble way, right? He's just very frivolous and
So
probably
basically,
impulsive.
You guys are chatting, like you guys are talking.
Yeah, we're talking for 7 days. I know you enough to be like, yo, you know what? I want to invest my time and energy into this person. So I'm not going on no date that
you don't click.
It doesn't have to be expensive though.
Well, I was just saying
But
that
it
because
actually just makes it a little bit more comfortable anyway, that if you're talking.
Yeah, if you
No, you definitely. I don't think you should, as a woman, even waste your time or lashes going out with someone that you don't really know.
I don't even
like
do
that.
all that.
Like, you should really like him a lot before you let him.
I have
take
to
you
like,
out.
I have to like him a lot to even do the lashes. If I just don't know you and I'm just gonna see what you about, There's none of that going on.
No.
That's a FaceTime call.
You can meet me for a gym date, or you can meet me for
take me.
Yeah, I
You like
work
gym
out
dates?
often. Yeah, and then after that we can go and get avocado toast and.
That's why I was a
Nico
personal.
likes you now because you said you work out.
No. That wasn't. I was just thinking because as a personal trainer, those are my number one. You like the gym? Yeah, let's work out.
Nah, a workout day is usually I give somebody I don't know if I really like that, because I'm not trying to give you too much time and I'm not trying to do too much for you, but let's get you around, see what you're talking about.
Let me.
That actually makes sense. But again, you know how you avoid that? Phone conversations. I agree with him. Personally, I wouldn't go on a date with a woman. It's going to be more than 7 days, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Of us talking before I start investing anything besides time, So yeah, that's the way I did it. You don't have to do it like that, but yeah, is what it is.
Ask you a question. Out of all the men that you dated and or saw, right? Serious and non-serious relationship, right? If you gave an average number by the demand that they are in, from 1 to 10, 10 being that they are in the most demand, what would you rate them?
The most demand in terms of the market, the dating pool?
Yes.
I would give them a median number of all of them together.
Not a median, because we all have had 1s and 10s. I mean an average. If you had 10 people that were a 10.
I would probably give them.
And be honest, not biased.
I'm gonna be honest.
Be like, yo, he's really a lame, but he's nice to me.
No, no. I'm gonna give him probably an 8.
You got the 8s?
Yeah, and that's also the problem.
Oh boy. This next part of the conversation is gonna be tough from my end, because again, I can't remember when I said this, but I know I've said it before. Is that if you've been with the guys who have everything that you want, they rank high on your list, and they're not willing to marry you, your standards are too high. You don't qualify for marriage with those guys. They'll date you, they'll have sex with you, but the chances of them marrying you pretty slim. So you're gonna have to lower your standards. I don't like saying that directly because I've never met Kayla or anybody on these panels. I've never met these people in real life. So it's a very harsh thing to say to somebody you never met before, but most men seek marriage or some kind of long-term relationship. But if all you've been able to do is date and have sex, then your standards are too high. And again, if you're not trying to get married, then rock on and go do whatever you want to. Just don't have no kids. Because get married before you carry. But, outside of it, it doesn't matter. But if you're seeking marriage and you keep going out with these, guys that are rank high in the sexual marketplace, and none of them have proposed to you, how much time are you going to waste on somebody who doesn't agree with your morals, your values? If you're marriage minded, how much time are you going to waste on men who are not? At least when it comes to you. You're going to have to make some, you're going to have to scale back your, well, look, you don't have to do that if you don't want to, but I'm just saying.
Wait, what's the age?
They have.
Sorry, I didn't even get the question.
Option syndrome is at an all-time high for our 8s.
It's not a syndrome.
Yes, it is. Very attractive men that are very charismatic. They know how to talk to women, or they got money, they got bread, they got some type of leadership qualities. All the women want them, and so their option syndrome is literally up here. And so, that the dating process with them is a little bit more difficult to really understand. Are they intentional, or is this what they do?
No, it's not. It's very simple. Men on that end of the scale have very high standards. and they're not going to tell you if you meet them or not. They're just going to keep stringing you along and keep having sex with you until something better comes along. Prime example, you with a guy for several years, he doesn't talk about marriage around you, you break up with him, and then he meets somebody else who he marries within a year. A lot of times women will try and figure out, well, what happened there? Very simple. You didn't meet his standard for being a wife, but he kept you around so he could have access to your body. That's why, again, that's why conversations like this become so important, because we can break down that and see a lot of women. I've talked about this before. Bring that man around your father. See what he thinks. Because a lot of times we are not impressed by the things that man is showing you. Because I don't care how much money he make. If I know my daughter's marriage minded and this guy ain't talking about marriage, then I'm gonna tell her, this dude is wasting your time. He is not trying to get married. Again, the question is to the ladies, how much time are you willing to, if you're marriage minded, how much time are you willing to waste on a man who is not? I don't care what attributes his are or what his sexual marketplace value is. If you're marriage minded and he's not, then that means in your book, his market value should be at the basement. It should be in the toilet, because he's not trying to get married. Well, that eliminates him immediately if you take marriage seriously. Yeah.
You know, so that was kind of my issue, right? Right, or because these men are professionals, okay? So they know what to say, how to say it. You know what I mean? And so I even pick up on little things like that.
how
I've
do you
learned.
do it? Well, I would say since we want to call things.
Yes, I was being funny, but then he started talking.
Since you want to talk about syndromes, right? I think, hey, bring the camera over here. Expectation syndrome is at an all-time high.
Wow.
Because the fact that you got all these expectations. Don't ruin my moment. Just that expectation syndrome right there. Exhibit A. No, but expectation syndrome is at an all-time high. Because if the same thing, for you to expect somebody or whatever to have all of the options and expect them to only choose you is kind of crazy to me. It's like having a rich man saying you can only buy one car.
For real?
It sounds crazy, right? I know. I'm shocked too.
It's not crazy if that man is looking to get married. Again, even the men that on the status, they're talking about high value men, right? When they're looking to get married, they don't have men like that. They're busy. Men who make a lot of money, they're very busy. They don't have time to keep dating women endlessly. The majority of them, this is where this leads to another conversation, and we'll just touch on it briefly because it's not in line with what we're talking about here. But there, believe it or not, there is a marriage ceiling when it comes to business. Most guys who are at top level, they are married. Why? Because they don't have time to continuously date and vet women. So yeah, they are looking for the right one, and when they find her, it happens like that. They don't spend a lot of time vetting her. If she meets the criteria, okay, 6 months, a year, and no, we walking down the aisle because I got to get back to work. That's their mindset. If they're trying to get married, if they're not marriage minded, then it's exactly like he said. You got all these options out here. Why am I gonna settle down for you? Because when the reality is they weren't looking to settle to begin with.
That was horrible.
That is blasphemous.
No, what it is, it's reality.
Oh my goodness.
Like we've been bought into this fairy tale
Ladies,
thing.
the pool is in a detriment. Do y'all see what's happening?
No, the world is actually.
That
see, the
feels
thing is,
entitled on your part.
It does. Like, because
It's not in a detriment. It's not. It only seems like that if you're dating higher than what you actually qualify for marriage for. And you keep going on these dates with all these men and you can't figure out why none of them are trying to get married. Your standards are too high and they don't want to marry you. They don't think you meet up to what their criteria is. You have to meet men at the level that they are, or you have to date men that you qualify if you're trying to get married. So we already established about what Kayla is doing. So I don't like to say it because I don't like saying it to women, saying that about women that I don't know, I've never met, but they brought up the topic, so we're gonna take it from there. But look, go check out 8 at the Table, because it's not always the same cast. Some of them are repeat cast members, others are not. So you do get difference of opinions. Did we get a high level conversation here? Absolutely. Because we broke down some dating and courting topics there. Those are very important. The phone conversation thing in particular, because most people don't talk about that. It's just, the only time we see each other is when we're dating, when we're on dates, when we're out in public. The only time we talk is when we're out in public. You need to take me on a date to get to know me. No. If a woman tells you that, go find you somebody else. Seriously. Because that woman's there to waste your time. She's after your meat. Your money, energy, attention, and time. That's what's going on. So I would say avoid those women. And it may be that the guy, if that's all you keep coming across, your standards might be too high. I said there's 6 categories: fit, feminine, friendly, cooperative, submissive, and childless. Average guy will take, 3 to 4 out of 6. But if you're taking that and it might be the wrong combination that you're dating on, if that's all they keep telling you, you may need to switch up what you want, especially if you're trying to get married. So, but look, guys, we're going to leave it here. We definitely will be back with 8 at the Table, because like I said, it's different opinions. So, yeah, I'm going to stay ghost to the next time. Peace. Thanks for making it to the end of this video, but do me another favor, like and subscribe, but also check out these here. Either subscribe or watch videos, one or the other. I don't know which side, but hey, all right. Mike here, Mighty Marriage and Media, and we're back again with We Need to Talk. It's been a couple videos since we've been here. So today we've got, this is an older video. I've seen this before, but I saw it when it first came out. I haven't looked at it since. I really don't remember what we're talking about. I have a clue, but the title is Your Girlfriends Are Great Men. I'm assuming we're going to talk about some masculine women here. But as always, guys, We Need to Talk. The host's name is Alan Obi. Go check him out. Like and subscribe to his channel, because he has a lot of these one-on-one conversations, which honestly have proven to be more fruitful when it comes to high-level conversations than we can see with people arguing on a panel. I'm just being honest. Again, that's why I'm not in a rush to jump on these panels, as some of y'all been wondering, because he got a lot to say about people on panels, but he don't ever join them. Yeah, there's a reason for that. But anyway, it might change in the future. I don't know. We'll see. But for right now, let's get it going. Like and subscribe, like the video says, people. Help us out, grow the channel, all that good stuff. Now let's click here and here and here and there.
I think a lot of women enter relationships in bad faith.
Oh.
Like I know I'm a good woman as I'm entering this relationship. You have to prove to me you're a good man.
Oh, okay.
So the expectation is you ain't shit until you prove otherwise.
Okay.
How can I respect you?
Valid.
So how do we undo that?
One way we undo that is, there are two things. The first one is acknowledge that we do need each other. This whole attitude of well, I'm just going to be fine by myself is proven to be untrue. Or for a lot, let me rephrase that. There is proof out there that it is untrue. From a financial standpoint, it doesn't make sense, because the vast majority of people, average people, do not make enough to make it through retirement. The vast majority of us are going to be working to the day we die. And as men, that's a hard truth we have to swallow no matter what, not a marriage or not. But women, yeah, that job that you just like and don't love, yeah, you're going to be there for a very long time. Most of y'all going to be there to the day you die. As men, we accept that cold hard truth, and but again, that's part of being a protector provider. You willing to die for your family. But women, you single out here, Good luck with that. I think we're going to see. I think the idea of marriage will end up turning around after Generation X gets halfway through retirement age, meaning that they're 70 and up, and you're going to see a lot more people trying to get together because it's just, again, 5 years in financial services. I had to have those uncomfortable conversations with people, single women as well. Men, they don't really care as much because, they're going to be working either way. So, but yeah, getting off topic. So let's go ahead and keep it going. Oh, the second thing is, I forgot that part. The second thing is that fathers become important because, again, your father is going to have the ability to read through the BS and all the attraction signals that you as a woman are blinded by with a man. Because we don't care how fine he is. We ain't impressed by his charisma or how much game he got. That don't mean nothing. That don't mean nothing to your father. We know how to weed. We know how to weed through that and get down to the brass tacks. And guys, it's the same way with your mom. Your mom don't care how that lady that you think is special. She ain't special to your mom, and your mom don't care how fine she is. So if you can't decide whether she's wife material, introduce it to your mom. See what your mom think. But ultimately, as a man, you still held the final say so. But it's always good to seek counsel from female family members who you love, value, and respect. But yeah, let's go.
I think that as a woman, I think that may come from a place of healing and knowing a sense of self. I think that, like you said, if you enter a relationship in good faith, we should operate more on the innocent until proven guilty instead of the opposite way around. I mean, America doesn't operate like that, even though they said we should. But I think because of a lot of the inherited trauma that we have from other relationships, from generations, from our family, from what we see on TV, from what we see in our lives.
I agree with her up until the point, because a lot of the times the trauma that women experience is not from them directly. It's from other people. It's from listening to other people. It's from listening to the group. Because women tend to work in a collective, and I mean there's some old biology there. It's like women survive through the group because they're the weaker sex. I get that, and then they're also living through the trauma of their mom, particularly in our community because we have an abnormal amount of single parent households. So you already have a bias against men because the daddy's not with mommy. So men must be bad. We got to start working through this stuff. And now after reviewing a lot of these videos, I'm starting to understand what Kevin Samuels was talking about when he said a lot of black women just need therapy. Coincidentally, I looked at this lady's Instagram and she's actually a counselor. So, I mean, kudos to Alan for finding professional women to actually sit down and have these conversations with. Because, man, again, reviewing all these channels and you start to realize that, okay, y'all are bringing on a certain type of woman. And that just gets old. Another reason why the gender war is dumb. Because it keeps getting perpetuated by unintelligent people. Stop falling for that. We gonna have to start. If they post their Instagram, if somebody gives their Instagram and they getting interviewed or they talking about relationships, I'm starting to look it up and see what your Instagram look like, or your social media or whatever. If you putting it out there, I'm gonna look at it and see if I need to be. Is you're somebody who I should be taking serious? Because look, getting on topic again. Let's go.
From what other people in our lives preach to us, oh, these niggas ain't shit, walk them like a dog, for every you know, woman that he's talking to, there's 5 more on the side, you know, type of thing. I think that if you enter a relationship in good faith and you are in a place where you're healing or working towards healing, that you should extend that same trust to your partner. Because why would you enter something if you already feel like you're untrustworthy of this person? You wouldn't go buy a car knowing that. That's a bad analogy.
No, it's not. It's a great analogy. I've talked about this before, though, is that, you know, if ladies don't accept dates with men that you don't know. Again, why would you want to go on a date with a man? Why would a man be willing to invest his meat into you? His money, energy, attention, and time. Why is he going to do that if he doesn't know you? Because he doesn't respect you and he's only after one thing. Sex. Yeah, it's worth me investing, you know, in dates, multiple dates, because I'm going to, if I, you know, string her along on enough dates, I know she'll eventually have sex with me. And take the time, because despite what the popular belief is that we need to go on dates to get to know each other. No, you don't. You get to know each other over the phone. See, guys, that's also how you weed out a lot of toxic women who just want you to give them experiences even though they were not really interested in you. That's how you weed them out too. We can get to know each other over the phone. Any woman who's not willing to do that, they're not willing to talk to you over the phone. No, dude, go find somebody else. Personal preference. I have a thing about I had a thing about women who only text. But I'm a little older, you know, I'm in my 40s, so this is a little bit different. But women, back when I was single, if all a woman does is text me, I'm you know, at some point I'm just gonna stop. I'm gonna start giving 1-word answers, and then eventually I'm just gonna stop replying. Because if I prefer to have the phone conversation. Because again, number one, texting takes too long. You know, we spent 30-minute conversation over text. That's a 3-minute phone call. I don't have that kind of time. I got to go to work. I got hobbies and stuff that I want to do. Hey, you can have that conversation. I will leave you unread. So that's just me though. Like I said, I'm a little older, but hey, let's keep going.
But I don't know. That's a really good question. And I can only speak for myself at this point. I think I have a very different view of love and relationships in life than a lot of other people do that are my age. But I think as women, it's pretty much like you said, like we have to give our Black men more grace, but we feel like often that they have to prove themselves first. It's almost like we are the CEO and y'all are applying for a job, you know, and it shouldn't be like that.
That would explain why there's not that many of us that are married in our community. If the woman feels like you need to earn her approval, okay, but ultimately, if the man is the one who proposes, well, why is he gonna propose? And I just had to jump through all these hoops, even just to get you on a couple dates. Nah, I'm good on that. Good on that. Yeah.
I often say two of the most effective tools of white supremacy was setting a precedent of the Black woman is inherently unattractive and the Black man is inherently criminal. I have to be cognizant of that as a Black man.
Okay.
And I have to be graceful with that in our interactions. There seems to be, or that energy isn't reciprocated because the zeitgeist is continuing to push this narrative that niggas ain't shit and niggas are toxic and guard your heart, sis.
Oh, let's take a look at that. Okay. Zeitgeist, the defining spirit or mood of a particular period in history as shown by the ideas and beliefs of the time. I did want to take a second just to go over that because usually when Alan posts stuff like that mid video, obviously it's an afterthought from the editing process, but usually it's important.
So how do we, because I want to move away from everything niggas can do to be better. What can the female black, first of all, is there a black female delegation? And what can they do to move this conversation forward?
Right now?
Great question.
I don't know if I would say there's as a whole.
She don't know. Gentlemen, we know that the sister code is real. And it only seems to, well, look, that seems like it might be out of context because we're not talking about that. So let's save it for another video and let's move on.
There's a black female delegation right now.
Why?
To box a woman in, you cannot fit every single type of woman into this box and be like,
you know what? If she hadn't said what she said before, I might believe her. But again, it wasn't even 5 minutes ago that she was talking about that I'm a little different from women my age. Okay, well, you just put all the women into a box then. So it's okay for you to do it when you're making yourself stand out. But the minute we start talking about, oh boy, right. I'm telling y'all, the sister code is real. Sister code is real. All right.
like, I am the spokesperson for the black female delegation. There are so many types of women and just like their views just differ right now. Okay, like the big divide, as you all have discussed in your other videos. You know, you've got the city girl, you know, the pro-ho movement, the sexually liberated and free, and then you've got like the more like super conservative type of woman. You put those two women on a show like this, they're gonna go at it. Like, and not in all aspects, because there's probably a lot of similarities underlying that they maybe don't see. But I think like as a whole, sometimes like, and I see this a lot too, where we tear each other down more than, you know, black men or more than white people.
Really? Now, the way she said that, it almost seemed like she was inferring that women are tearing each other down. Where do we see that at? Where conservative women are coming on and saying, hey, you're, you know what? This is a pro-marriage channel, so I definitely want to know what she's talking about, because we need to be promoting that content. From what she said, I'd be interested to know who she thinks out of those groups that she named, where do all the married people fall? Because again, we got to start bringing these topics up. We got to start addressing these issues, and when we have data and statistics that back up what we're saying, it's not about how we feel anymore. Because we know that nuclear families is the way to build our community. So the women who are in these nuclear families, who are in these marriages, what are they saying? Where are they going, having these discussions with these other women like she's talking about? That's the content we need to be promoting. Where is that at? I don't know. I'm still looking for it. Hey, send me, leave a link in the comment if you see what she's talking about. And, it's on here, especially if it's here on YouTube, because I will promote the mess out of it. But I don't know. I've been looking at YouTube for a while. I don't see that happening that often.
So I think to say that we can put the whole black female delegation in a box. I don't really agree with that.
So
my personal opinion.
Yeah, no, I understand, and I think you know, me personally, one of the things I say all the time is that we need to stop using that term, "Black people are not a monolith," as a rebuttal, because monolithic people survive. Monolithic communities thrive because there's a sense of one band, one sound. The reason we can't get on the same page is because we can't get on the same page, right? So moving back to the whole Facebook thing, why is it, in your opinion, that so many young, successful, intelligent, therapized Black women are having or not having success in love and companionship?
Shit. I do not know.
Because they don't prioritize marriage. They don't prioritize marriage and family. That's why. Again, you combine that with you going into relationships in bad faith. And this is just all, I'm just speaking about what they've talked about in this video. But we're not interested in marriage and family. It's not a priority, or I should say it's not a priority. Combine that with the fact that we take men on the concept of relationships with men. We're taking that on bad faith. Look what you got. This is what you get. The current climate today. That's why I say channels like this, where we promoting marriage, becomes so important, because I don't blame women for their views on relationships and marriage, because we've let the ideas. We haven't done a good job of promoting them, promoting the benefits. The average person, the only benefit to marriage they see is, well, it's a tax break, it's a tax benefit. And most guys will tell you it's not worth the tax benefit. But again, if you don't consider legacy, then legacy is the biggest benefit for marriage. Raising your kids in a stable environment. Again, I'm going to keep saying this because we have the data. The data shows that the best environment is to raise your children in. Two-parent household bonded by marriage. So it makes it seem selfish. I get it. And look, we're going to move on because I might be getting off topic here. I'm starting to rant, or it feels like I'm starting to rant. So I'm going to cool out. Let's watch a little bit more first.
I think there are a lot of people in this world who are operating more off survival and off hurt than off of love. And even in those three terms, there's intersectionality. But at this age that we're in, you get told, it's like two different tales. You need to settle down and start a family. Nah, you have that, and then you have you're young, wild, and free. These are your best years. Flip it up. So I see more people.
So what she's talking about sounds like a lack of self-discipline. You're unwilling to sacrifice in order to reach the bigger goal. Sounds very immature. I mean, don't get me wrong. Men go through that too when they reach their peak. That's why mainstream America had a whole thing where they called it a midlife crisis. All the midlife crisis is, because this was big in like the 80s and 90s, right? All the midlife crisis is that guy is starting to reach his sexual marketplace. His value is starting to reach its peak. And he's garnering more attention from the opposite gender than he was his whole life. And again, undisciplined men with low integrity low morals, low ethics. A lot of times they fall victim to it. You know, it's the same. Well, men and women both go through this. It's a struggle. It just happens at different points in their lives because women reach their peak earlier for the opposite gender.
Operating in the young, wild, and free stage right now, than in the let's settle down and be a family and buy a house. I mean, the economy is not suited for that either, but that's a whole different topic. But
the lies we tell ourselves. The lies we tell ourselves. You can't buy a house now. Okay. That's why you sit down with, again, 5 years in financial services. You think you can't afford a house? Okay. What licensed professional have you sat down to get your finances in order together? Or get your finances together? Most people say none. Okay. That's like saying, I don't feel good. I've been feeling bad for the past couple of days. Did you go see the doctor? Nah. You know, my arm is broke, but I don't need a doctor. You know, that licensed professional, what do they know? Yeah, okay.
I don't know. I have trouble dating.
Oh, you
I'm sure
think?
some people in the comments will tell me why after this video, but I don't.
The biggest, so far, the only thing she said that stands out to me is going into interactions with men in bad faith. I mean, I don't know if she wants to be married or wants a family. If she doesn't, then, it's not that big of a deal. But again, we don't know that yet, so.
The only thing I see is that like a lot of people aren't therapized, as you say, like they haven't worked through a lot of these traumas that we're dealing with, and they manifest themselves in relationships. So you deal with a lot of situationships, a lot of things where, there's no strings attached, or, we kind of just doing what we want, floating by because we don't know how to operate in that space of being in a committed relationship and respecting and loving and working together for one common goal yet. I don't think a lot of us are there. And there's nothing wrong with that.
That's a lie there or something.
Yeah.
I mean, like, everybody's not meant to be in a relationship. Like,
But the vast majority of people are meant to do that. Okay, what you have here is a woman who is justifying her choices and lifestyle. She's drinking some feel-good Kool-Aid, as another YouTuber tries to say. I'm not doing the accent that he uses because it's just, no, we're not doing that. But yeah, there is something wrong with that, especially if you're going to keep complaining about, why our children are on the bottom. Things stay the way they are, like what she's talking about. There's nothing wrong with that. If you agree with her, then don't complain about the way things are with our children, because you want it this way. You like our black boys reading reading statistics being at the bottom.
like if they don't want to be. So.
Most black women want to be.
I'm sorry?
Most black women want to be.
Yeah.
Or they claim they want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, claim.
So, and I think that's an interesting conversation because I have it a lot with my male friends, and most, if not all, of my male friends are the niggas y'all want, right? What they say, if you're curious.
I'm curious.
Okay. What they say is that if you see a group of 5 women, right, and let's say one of them has been successful, and she's looking at her group and she's like, Emily is a doctor. Savannah's a lawyer. Excuse me for using white girl names, but that's what's coming to mind.
Savannah James.
Yeah, there we go. And what's her name is a community organizer. These are women of timber and caliber. These are women of movers and shakers. And why are they not having success with men? These are women who go to therapy 5 times a week, and they go to the gym 6 times a week. What men are saying.
What they saying?
What men are saying is, women tend to evaluate each other based on a male curriculum.
Ooh.
Your female friends are great men.
Okay.
But they are terrible women.
Okay, yeah.
Because unfortunately, and this is part of the message I try to push when I have a conversation with a woman, is the things that move the needle for you when it comes to me aren't necessarily things I would prioritize.
Damn, that.
The things that move the needle for me when it comes to you aren't necessarily things you would prioritize. Yeah. But if we're gonna look at each other as puzzle pieces who must fit, we can't be the same.
High level conversation. Now I'm going to offer the other side of that coin, because this. If you watch enough male-oriented content, you've heard this talk before, but I want to offer some pushback, something for you guys to think about, because it's something that I struggle with. So I'd love some feedback as well on this. If you're raising daughters, particularly in the black community, and the marriage rate being what it is, which means that your daughters are more likely to be single for life, what's your advice going to be if the average woman does not make enough to make it through retirement? I mean, are you going to teach them to be more masculine? Masculine traits work out during, as far as a career, they're great for a career. Ambitious, dominant, less agreeable. Those things work when it comes to career. They're good for making money, building businesses, getting promoted. They suck when it comes to a relationship, when you're trying to cooperate with a man. How do you balance that? I mean, as men, we often talk about being logical. Well, what's the more logical? What's the more probable outcome? One of the things I struggle with doing this channel is it is an uphill battle, because a lot of women, black women in particular, say they want to get married, and that conversation sounds good until you start breaking down and they realize that yes, marriages require a lot of work, even from the women. So, and most women, I don't know if they're up for the task of doing the work that it takes to build a marriage and to maintain it. So, I mean, that's something that I struggle with, because like I said, I got daughters, I got to raise them. What's the more probable outcome? You can go off probability or possibility. And this is the thing that we talk about on male-oriented content all the time. And you see a trend of shaming women because they focus on the possibility. But again, if marriage is not the norm in our community, what do you tell your daughters? I want my daughters to get married. I do. I want both. I want them to get married. So, because that's ultimately the only way that I know how to build and improve a community. Again, I'm open to being wrong about this. If you have another way, please, let's hear about it. Listen in the comments, point me, recommend a video or whatever. But we got to start. I mean, because that's a hard choice, man. It's a tough choice. Hopefully I come up with an answer, because running out of time.
So you being strong, black, educated, makes you a great dude. Doesn't necessarily make you great. And sometimes, unfortunately, it actually works to your detriment. Because the more educated you are, the less agreeable you are. the more successful you are, the harder you are to please.
Yeah.
The more traveled you are, the easier it is for you to get bored. So as a man,
damn.
Mind blown. This woman has no knowledge of the male experience, the male point of view. Dare to say that she was raised by a single mom? Because women who tend to be raised in a household with their father, they tend to be a little bit further along with their cooperation or their relationship skills. Her reaction said a lot when he brought that stuff up, being looked for different things in women. I mean, again, that's why that dichotomy, the head bashing again is that if you're raising daughters, how you gonna raise them? I don't know. It's a hard conversation, bro. We got to start having it more often though, because if I'm struggling with this and I look at this stuff all day long, what are you, as an average man, how are you going to, how do you work that out? We need more content, for one, just to add, get more people talking about it so we can get a better consensus of it. Because me just trying to attack this stuff by myself, I don't know how to solve. I don't have an answer.
Okay.
That 80% of women in your group tend to seem like a terrible proposition. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's valid, 100%. Yeah, you say that like, I'm getting my second master's right now.
Mm-hmm. It's a valid point until it's time to apply it to your life. Now, this video is not new, so I'd be interested to see, has anything changed about her? Will she come back on the show again? Well, we hadn't seen that yet, so I don't know. I just find it interesting because you see that with a lot of these shows where women are being interviewed or women are on panels, and you see them talk one thing, they say one thing when the camera's on, but are they living that in their life? Because look, high level conversations are good. They're great, but these mind blowing moments, they're great. But if we're not living it, when the camera's off, was there even a point to it? I would say yes, because again, it's YouTube. One of the benefits is that these videos will be here for a while. So hopefully somebody else can come back and see it. And because they're not on camera, they can actually, take in the information. They can watch it back again. And hopefully they can, we can, as a community, can start making some changes. That would be my goal, at least. So let's go.
So I have two businesses. I'm doing all these things. Yeah. Granted, I hate the strong black woman trope. Cut it out. I don't want to be strong. I want to be soft. But
no, she don't. Again, this goes to this goes to what are your actions saying? It's saying that I guarantee you, if you ask her what type of guy she's looking for, she is that guy. I guarantee it. Guy is well educated, high earner. She's got multiple businesses that she's running. She has a job, so it's like literally, if you got all that going on, how are you supposed to have time to meet anybody? Let alone date them and vet them for marriage. But you know what? That might be an irrelevant question because, we don't know what she's looking for. So the bigger question is that because we hear that, men say this all the time and women just don't get it. We don't care about your career or your job or how much money you make. Because at the end of the day, the burden of performance for us to be the providers is always present. And the question I always ask is, how does your income, ladies, how does that help us be the breadwinner? It doesn't. So all those businesses that she got, right? The main reason why men get married is for legacy. So let's say you do get married, right? and you have like 2 kids, what's going to happen to all your businesses? You ain't gonna be able to do that. You ain't gonna be able to run 2 businesses, go to school for a postgraduate degree, and raise 2 children. Or we can get a nanny. You gonna let somebody else raise your kids? As if, like, God, that is a huge mistake. Number one, because the guy at that level that she's looking for, he's gonna want the mother of his children to raise the kids, not somebody else. Because if you're gonna get somebody else, then why does he need you? Again, doesn't care about your career, your income. What does he need you for? Well, I can bring in more money. We can build it together. Guys on that level aren't interested in it. Now, I can speak for, because I told you this channel is about average men. From an average standpoint, that's different. Well, not so much. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because I'm going to stand corrected. It's not. Because at the end of the day, women still want the man to be the breadwinner in most cases. So if that's the case, then no, your businesses and all this other stuff you got going on becomes irrelevant. Doesn't benefit the guy. Now, if you guys are already married and you already have a family, that's different. Because we learned about this from Security Boss. If you're willing to put the money into a pile to where the man can come up with a plan of how it's going to benefit the family, that's different. But most women in our community are not married. So for the majority of the time, that scenario doesn't apply, unfortunately. So what would I say is, well, I'll save that for later. Let's go.
Yeah, and I can 100% agree to that. As much as it hurts me to say it, I can 100% agree to that. And I speak on that because a friend that I have, he kind of told me the same thing. I'm like, I want to buy a house. I just can't wait to get my house. I can't wait to buy a new car. I want a Tesla. Can't wait to get my second business off the ground. I'm looking to get into real estate. I'm trying to have 7 streams of income. He's like, men don't give a fuck about any of that. He's like, you can live with your mom until we get married. I really could give 2 shits. He's like, I don't care if you have a raggedy car, like it is what it is. Like when we get married, I'm gonna get you a new car. Yeah. So he was the one that kind of brought it to my attention. He's like, all these.
And yet she's still continuing down the path, right? Mm-hmm. This goes back to what I said before about what's happening when the camera's off. Remember how shocked she was before? But then to come to find out, you've already heard this stuff. You already know it. So either, number one, she doesn't believe it, or number two, the guy she heard it from, she doesn't value his opinion. I don't see any other options there because I don't know. Let's keep going.
These things that you're working towards, like that you feel make you more attractive to a man, they don't care about. They care, do you look good and can you turn my house into a home? And he's like, that's all I care about. And I'm just like, and he's like the caliber of man that you want, they want, that. They don't want women that are out here trying to, oh, you have 4 degrees, great for you, like I don't give a damn. I'm gonna be the one bringing in the money. You can work if you want to, but you don't have to, type of thing. He was like, now if you want a different type of man that might need you for your money and might need you to go get those degrees because he's struggling, then yeah, he loves that part about you because you are the caretaker in the relationship. But for the caliber of man that most women want, they don't care about that. So I think that your point is 100% valid as much as...
Yeah, it sounds good, but I think your point is valid, but I'm still pursuing. Yeah. So in summary, I think what I'm gonna start doing is particularly with these videos, is summarizing that, look, at the end of the day, we can't be too picky. So if this is the type of women that are out there, the question then becomes, if they still want to get married, okay, so what kind of marriages are going to, what kind of men are going to be able to, are they going to be able to work in cooperation with? At the end of the day, it's about choices and trade-offs. Life is about people. Wise man would say both of those things, right? So if I had to put together a profile for this woman, a dating profile, I would say that she's good. A good fit with her would probably be an average earning man. Number one, because it's like she said, her accomplishments are going to mean something. But she has to be okay with being the breadwinner. That's the only scenario where, all those things that she's doing are going to become valuable. The problem I see is with a lot of women, they can't handle the responsibility that comes with being a breadwinner. You don't get to turn that off. That's not realistic. Because again, you can't just, being a breadwinner that's not a role you can step down from. As men, we know this. Women women have that attitude when they're younger, but as they get older, as children enter the picture, most of them get tired. And gentlemen, we know that as a breadwinner, you don't get that option. You don't. So, if she's comfortable with that thing, and it seems like she is, because she has a lot going on, then, there may be, I would say an average man is in her future. Now, average men, how do you make it work with a woman like this, right? I will tell you. You improve in 4 major areas. A dime, right? We said this before, but I'm gonna keep saying it because it's that important. You need to raise your levels in discipline, integrity, morals, and ethics. This is the type of man who is exceptional in those 4 categories, who would be a good match for her. Because why? Well, because again, the financial component is taken care of already. So she's not looking for a man to provide for her. At least if she's trying to get married. Because again, you want a man to provide for you, then all that stuff, all her accomplishments are meaningless. Like then, this is specifically for women who value their accomplishments. Yeah, then look for a man with those 4 qualities, and he's going to be an average earner. The challenge comes in is that number one, for women, you have to accept being a breadwinner. Number 2, you can't throw it back in his face that you make more money than him. Because think about it. In a traditional marriage where the man is the breadwinner, does he ever throw that back in the woman's face? No, not unless she provokes him. So you can never throw it back in his face that he makes more money. Number 2, because the only thing that's going to happen is he's just going to fed up and he's just going to leave. Because again, most men are self-sustainable. If that's the case, then he makes enough money to support himself. You throwing your money in his face, that guy's just going to turn and walk away, because that's a lose-lose scenario. Yeah, we won't get into why that is, but trust me, it is. So what do we have here? Oh, you find you an average man. He works, he makes an average income, which depending on what state you're in, of course, in the U.S., it's about it's about $40,000 to $50,000 a year. He has some kind of career, some kind of job that he likes to do. Maybe he's maybe he's a teacher, maybe he's a police officer, fireman. I don't know. But the point is that he does have some kind of career going for him. He probably has some kind of hobbies or something like that. But yeah, those 4 main areas, that's the guys that you need to focus on, and go from there. Men who excel in those 4 categories, they tend to make great husbands. They do, because if a man has excelled in those 4 categories, ladies, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, he's less likely to cheat on you. Again, because he has discipline. He has integrity. Yeah. So just my thoughts, but this is a high level conversation because we talked about a lot of things here that are going to be pertinent going forward. So on that note, I'm going to stay ghost till the next time. Peace. Thanks for making it to the end of this video. But do me another favor, like and subscribe, but also check out these here. Either subscribe or watch videos, one or the other. I don't know which side, but hey, all right.